Hello and welcome to the replay of the round 22 AFL clash from the SCG between the top two teams on the AFL ladder. First versus second, with tops one up for grabs. The Sydney Swans, first place right now. No changes at selection. Mitch Morton will start as the sub. Up against the Hawks, who are hunting down top spot. The Hawks do have a few big guns back. Josh Gibson into the lineup. Sam Mitchell also back, but Lance Franklin, arguably the best player in the competition, back after 6 weeks on the sidelines. Let's go to the action.
Lewis Jetta, who's been getting tagged. There we go, Teddy Richards on Franklin, but Jetta's been getting tagged a little bit. It looks like Jace just a match up with Lewis there. I think, don't know whether they've set anyone for Jetta or not.
I dare say Jordan Lewis won't be letting him get goal side.
Yeah, I wouldn't think so. And we do believe there'll be a run with in the middle for the Swans, so we'll just try and pick that up, whether that's someone running with Mitchell. Looks like Keith's on Mitchell. Not sure there'll be a run with roll.
And we're underway with a free kick straight away. And straight away it's Kennedy with the clearance. The same old, but Pike dives, can't mark it. Hits the deck. Stratton, a bouncer. Jetta. Keith. And now Kennedy back to full forward. LRT down there, thumped away from him. McVeigh wants to pounce. Ball rolls away from him, but ball in.
Got away with a little bit of a jumper pull there.
You saw it stretch,
Thompson,
didn't you?
Yeah, surprised the jump. I didn't see that. But
Gibson on to Goods and Schoenmakers on to Reid. No surprise with those matchups.
Mumford Hale. Lewis. Unkind bounce. Hodge hugs the boundary. And hugs it well enough to allow it to stay in. Franklin thought about taking it on and then thought about taking it out. And it's good to see him back. Yeah. 6 weeks off, but he's back. Hale. Mumford wins this. Brust. Plenty of traffic around. Mitchell squeezed out a handball, grabbed by Matner. McVeigh, Shaw. Tumbling ball, terrible ball. Birchall cuts it off and pumps it, hoping for Franklin. Almost had a good piece of it. Puopolo took them on, gave it away. Richards. Matner. Bruce drags him down. Could have been ball. Didn't appear to dispose of it legally. Free kick's been found. The umpires, by the way, today, Chris Donlan, Steve McBurney and Dean Margetts. And Chris Donlan was 3 metres away from that one.
We just saw Marty Matner at that last stoppage come right up at the stoppage. Generally, he's been playing loose back, so it looks like they want to squeeze the Hawks, but that's going to expose Teddy Richards one out to Franklin, as we saw when that ball came in.
A few free kicks being paid early. Umpires trying to set an early standard. But you think Lance Franklin, I know there's been a lot of talk, would be happy to have had his hands on the ball, at least, even though he didn't get a stat. Always nice to touch it early. The conditions are pristine.
I think he'd also be happy there, Jace, too, that it was a one-on-one contest. Yeah. Looks like the Swans are going to roll the dice and try and squeeze the Hawks. Now, the downside of that is if the Hawks get through, it will be one-on-one. Nice mark by Pye.
That's a couple of times he's got away from Stratton early.
To Jetta, and now Goods lurking and troubled them to O'Keefe. And he's one of their underrated, in some respects, superstars, Ryan O'Keefe, but he is now the 5th greatest game player in Swans history. That's how good he's been.
And he's very good overhead too, so just a good matchup, that one-on-one deep against Lewis.
Pressure, but he eats pressure. First goal for the Swans.
Not really sure what Jordan Lewis was trying to do at that marking contest. He was more worried about Adam Goods. He thought Goods was coming in with the fly over the top. And you see that he actually braces for contact with Adam Goods. If you keep an eye on Jordan Lewis, once the ball eventually comes in, you'll find that he's worried about Adam Goods. This is the build-up with Pike getting the ball in quickly, gets it to Jetta. But then you'll see he's worried about Goods, and he leaves O'Keefe over the back, who takes an uncontested mark.
I think the other one that's fascinating is Lewis Jetta, who set that up. Looks like Lewis is basically running around without a tag today, so that's probably been the first time for a couple of weeks that that's happened.
Hale and Mumford resume hostilities. Hodge to Whitecross. Bounces straight through Shaw. Gunston. Tap on. Young. Sewell. Tough ball to gather. Richards right with Franklin. Again, he gets his hands on it, but again, he can't get a possession. Malcheski turns it over. Young.
Rough head one out if he gets it down there quickly.
In his direction, can he get the jump at it? Oh, Hale almost stole it from Roughhead.
Yeah, they both should have won it.
Yeah, it wasn't great by Hale, was it? It looked like Roughhead had Grundy absolutely beaten there, and Hale came back over the top. Watch it here.
Which is okay, but Hale should have marked the footy.
Yeah,
that's the problem.
Exactly.
Mumford flicked down. Malcheski wrapped up. Mumford slick. Bird, Jack. Sean Makers.
It'll be a fascinating contest, that Sean Makers versus Reid. Looking forward to that one.
Birchall.
He's been better this year, Sean Makers, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's improved.
He's improved
He's really
a lot.
improved.
Yeah, credit to him.
Yeah, absolutely. But he can't make amends for last year's finals until this year's finals in some respects. Franklin pounces, took them on, but he had no prior opportunity, if you know what I mean. And Smith's rolled that across the face, but it was out of play. It has been a soap opera, the Lance Franklin soap opera. He's been out for 6 weeks. Hamstring, car accident, flu, rumours. He lost his licence in between all that as well. From the flick down. Bird kick smothered. Lewis kept it low. And Gunston just told not 15 won't matter. Does matter. Roughhead hits the post.
Explain to me again, Roosie, why blokes want to kick it along the ground.
I have no idea.
Just explain it to me, because I can't.
Well, that's a goal. That's a giveaway goal.
Yep, and he's given it away.
He's given it away
along the ground.
Absolutely.
Goods has gone for the boundary according to the umpire. Crowd not happy with that.
Here it is here. Oh, boy. Yeah, you're right. Not sure.
It's perhaps my greatest frustration in the game at the moment.
Roughhead attacked that nicely but couldn't bring it down. LRT, speaking of attacking it well. O'Keefe to Malcheski. Smith caught. Sewell picked his pocket, got a kick, and it ricocheted off Shields, and it's out of play.
Yeah, no one's shirking at the moment as Clarko looks on, but certainly bodies over the footy, heads down, clean with the hands both sides at this early stage of the game.
Great atmosphere here at the SCG. Every seat filled. Standing room only, and the footy gods have turned on a beautiful afternoon for this. Kennedy to the outer side. Goods with Gibson. Gibson also back into the lineup this week after an ankle injury. Mitchell's also back in after a calf problem, and we've spoken about Franklin being back. And look at that, a sea of faces loving our beautiful game.
I think it is Craig Bird too running with Mitchell as we see Mitchell go for the ball now. Bird's there and behind him, so it looks like a hard tag. Bird, Mitchell.
And Bird gets it in the end.
Also looks like Jack and Hodge are running together.
Yeah.
Burgoyne turns it over. McGlynn wrapped up, dragged down. Good pressure at the moment. Burgoyne, Shields, a slip, and that's what pressure can do. Ball in.
There's no time and space out there at the moment for either side, so really good defensive pressure from both sides.
Top spot up for grabs for the victor. Prizes don't come any better than this. McGlynn for the home and away season at least. And this could well be a finals preview, or a grand final preview at that. There's a chance these two could even meet twice in the finals. They could meet week 1. Hale took it out of the air, has to get rid of it, dropped it. Guerra taken to the deck, no prior opportunity.
They can't even get a handball away at the moment, Jace. That's how much pressure. Every time someone gets the ball around the stoppage, they're jumped on by an opponent.
And they love keeping their sweeper back. Ted Richards is just playing loose right behind the ball at the moment. You've got Franklin having a spell, and another forward pushes up, so he'll just sit back. So they've always got the deepest sweeper in defence, the Swans.
Umpire let that go an enormous amount of time. Smith almost had a rare shot at goal.
I think the interesting thing there, Jace, for Teddy is if Buddy's going to come off a few times, I would suggest Teddy will need a rest as well. So it's interesting that he's staying on the ground while Buddy's having a spell. Now, I know Buddy hasn't played for 6 weeks, but he's still a really good aerobic player, and he will run Richards around if he can.
McVeigh tried to drop himself into a high tackle there. The umpire was wise to it.
So what happens with Richards sweeping behind the ball, it means Hawthorn have got 1 extra at the stoppage.
Yeah.
But if you win the ball at the stoppage and you just bomb it forward, you're going to be outnumbered. So if they win it, they've got to chain hand passes together and run the footy.
Flick down, Kennedy couldn't get his trademark clearances. turnover. Hodge.
It's as good as
Now the
deliberate.
umpire has to be. If they've paid that for the last month, they have to keep paying it.
Oh, he's kicked that sideways to the boundary. There's always going to be a defensive kick, and I think that's Luke Hodge aware of the fact that Ted Richards is back sweeping, so got to go wide, got to go boundary side.
Adds more grey area to that rule. Craig Bird's free kick off the ball.
Yeah, I think they've been blocking a little bit. They're aware now the Hawthorn player that Bird's got Mitchell, so I suggest there's going to be a little bit of blocking off the ball to get Bird away from Mitchell.
To Malcheski. Lewis Roberts Thompson from 4 deep. Sewell with the crumb. No prior opportunity again, so it'll be a ball up.
I think that'll be another tactic of the Swans too, Jace. Just get it in long, and if it's not a mark, it's a crumb, and just try and lock it in there like they have been in the last 5 minutes of this play.
Suckling. Mitchell. Not sure about that as a choice.
Yeah, a little dangerous.
Outside of the boot from Jack. Mummy. Mumford up. Travelled the required 15. And he'll line up for Sydney's second goal.
Yeah, it's just a case of luck and fortune where the kick was going to land, but it was the Mitchell punch over the head. He was probably trying to go a little bit more boundary side of the contest, but he just knocked it back into the corridor.
Yeah, that's why it's so dangerous not to get your hand on the ball. You've got
just
no
take the
wings.
tackle.
Just take the tackle, or just handball it out, towards the boundary line without it going over. But you just don't, when you're flicking it over your head like that, you just don't know what's around you.
8 goals, 4 for the season so far, and the goal umpire did not move.
Yeah, look, just a lucky kick, but Kieran Jack, you see here, this is the one here, Mitchell just hits it over his head, and it goes to Kieran Jack, and just a little chip kick in. I'm not sure he was going towards Mumford, but just the size there of Mumford over the top of Suckling, and a nice mark. And Mummy now is a lot fitter than obviously when he's at the start of the year, and a nice finish. And now we see Franklin back on, and Richards hasn't had a spell. Franklin has, so certainly that'll, by the end of the day, as I said, even though Franklin hasn't played for 6 weeks, that may fall into Franklin's hands, the fact that Teddy's not getting a spell.
McVeigh wins the clearance, bounces it past Reed. Goods thought about knocking it on, gives it to McGlynn, tries to fend off, kneaded away. Suckling, Stratton, Young, Guerra had to wait. Sewell, pressure, turnover. Jack just hammers it across the face.
They just cannot get the ball out of their defensive 50, the Hawks, at the moment. And that was the thing that happened in the Launceston game as well, Jay. So it's a real battle for them at the moment, getting it out of their defence.
Smith, with Goods planning to shut him down, and that was his only option really in the end, just to take it out. Isaac Smith. Hawthorn, even though they'll take top spot if they win this game, they might still have to win again next week to stay top 2. Big finish to this 2012 season coming up. Regardless of the result here, it's going to be the other results that'll play a role for the loser.
And it's great to see. Great to see that crowd you mentioned before, Dwayne, had too. Huge crowd here, great atmosphere.
Sewell, kick smothered. Smith, rough head. Brust from half-back. Gunston couldn't pick it up. Bird tried to slip out a handball. That's thrown out.
Absolutely thrown.
Umpire was blindsided, and now he'll probably have to ball this up at some stage.
Now we're seeing Marty Matten, now that Franklin's back on, we're seeing Marty Matten as the one that drops off. It'll be interesting to see if the Hawks elect to push another forward into their forward 50 to keep Matten accountable.
7, 8 people around the ball, some waiting for it to come out. Umpire giving them large amounts of time.
Yeah, particularly while they're not getting advantage at the stoppages.
No.
They've got to send one back and just play it on even terms, because otherwise the ball's going to rebound too quickly.
Yeah.
Neither side's had much control at this stage, guys. Only 4 marks apiece, so the game's been played absolutely in close in the contest.
And in fact, at the moment, they've each got an extra at the stoppage, and both teams have a spare in defence.
Birchall, kick ricochets. McVeigh to Jetta.
It's a clever kick.
Reed and Schoenmakers a knock on. Didn't want to go too hard to the boundary and make it obvious. Hodge flicks it out. Mitchell, Shields. Attack from Gunston. Bounced off his boot. Hanbury got one for too high. Play on advantage. Shaw pumps it in the Goods direction. Gibson, Goods, off hands.
Yeah, good one-on-one contest. Good effort by Gibson there on Adam Goods. Just probably not quite to his advantage, that kick coming in.
Burgoyne to Lewis. Made it tough for him, but he kept his feet. Kennedy went to ground. Hale in position 1A. Up. Can't mark it. Pike just got in the hole well. Puopolo. Sewell, boundary line looming. Kept it alive, and it works. Puopolo to Shields. Didn't have a lot of time, didn't spend it wisely. Shaw to Bird, and now the Swans are away. Hanbury, short to Goods on 50. Maybe within range. Reed wants it. It's a floater. It's an impossible ball to mark, and had he been a defender, that might have been deliberate.
I think the problem there was that Reed started to go and then he doubled back. Yeah, just as Adam was about to kick the ball. And then we see Burgoyne there. Nice bump on Craig Bird.
Lewis almost held before he gathered that. Birchall to the line. McGlynn, ex-Hawk, of course.
Sydney pressure's been excellent. They haven't given the Hawks any time to breathe, and they're just really playing the game in their forward half of the ground at the moment.
44 games for the Hawks, in fact. Ben McGlynn, a couple of seasons now for the Swans, and played every game again this season bar one. Fantastic contributor. Richards, free kick would have been Malcheski's. It is going to be Malcheski's. It was an advantage. So he hands to Grundy, who could go for goal. He sent us to Goods on the run. Not quite the half volley. Stratton. Birchall. Schoenmakers with poise. Burgoyne with the left hand. Whitecross. Only has one-on-ones to go to. So to the Puopolo Shaw one-on-one. Gee, Shaw disadvantaged there by the play on call. Over the head of Mumford. Works for Hale. Mumford, good tackle.
Hale made a mess of that. They should have been away, the Hawks, and now they're in trouble.
Mumford, turnover. It's pressure possession after pressure possession at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. And the Hawks just can't get it outside at the moment to hit their targets. Even that one there, that should have been a better effort to Franklin.
Franklin giving directions for the next possession before he took the first one. Hodge, top of the square. Puopolo there. Sure, it's been a good battle.
Yeah, the matchups at the moment, just looking the Swans' favourites. Obviously early days, but good matchup there. Shaw, Puopolo. They're just through the midfield. There's no time and space at all for the Hawks.
Grundy. Now Chesky, and Richards is waiting for it. Goods is on the wing. Gibson with him, one-on-one. And it bounces. Bit of ball in, and right now it's living up to all expectations.
Yeah, they wouldn't be unhappy with the scoreboard, the Hawks, I wouldn't think at the moment, Jace, because they just haven't looked like getting into the game, but they're only sort of 2 goals down. They really haven't had too many scoring opportunities.
No, but one thing to bear in mind, though, is they are the #1 scoring team for the season, averaging 124 points a week. We're approaching, you know, the latter stages of the first quarter. They got 1 point on the board.
Yeah.
Some numbers are bent, warped a little with the 2 bottom teams in the competition this year, giving up big scores on occasions. But everything counts in this one.
A lot of fumbles from the Hawks early too.
Yeah.
That's just a sign of the pressure that Sydney's been applying.
And if you look at this stoppage here, if we look at it from a wider angle, you can see that Sydney have pretty much got all the outlets covered. So you got Bird at the back, you got Kennedy in front, now you got O'Keefe working around the back, and here's Hanbury at the other side. So it is really, really difficult for the Hawks to get it outside because of the outlets are all covered from the Swans midfielders.
Brad Sewell signed a new deal to be a Hawk for life this week. Back into play. Kennedy. Parker, well, too slick there. Flicked out. Hale. Birchall. Hodge finds some space where there was none. Matner. Good grab. Shaw.
And this is where Hawthorn hasn't been able to apply the same pressure, and the Swans have been able to create space, get an overlap, and then move the ball forward.
Grundy got it from Malcheski, a little fumble. Shaw ran to support. Jetta. Burgoyne thumps it clear.
I think also, Jace, that kick from Hodge going in, you're going to do better than that, because Marty Matner's a really good player. He's not super tall, but he can read and he can fly for the high ball. We see him back behind this stoppage again, filling space in front of Franklin.
Yes, they've got a couple down there who are very high up on the AFL's list of intercept marks in the competition. Parker. Off hands Reid. Hasn't seen a lot of it yet. Feeds it back. Kennedy gets out of the tackle.
Oh, look at Craig Bird in the corridor all on his own. No fault of Kennedy's here to make a snap decision.
Yeah.
Another ex-Hawk playing for the Swans, of course, Kennedy. Young used his speed. Now needs to use it.
And then just ran into trouble.
Yeah. Lewis.
Complete lack of awareness, Jace, isn't it?
Hodge. Double teamed.
Why you wouldn't kick with that momentum going forward seems strange.
Well, there is some one-on-ones there too, because if you look up the screen here, they're all one-on-ones.
Kick it to a one-on-one, that's fine. That's all the forward wants.
Kennedy, another clearance. Stratton. Boundary line was his friend there. David King downstairs.
Just having a look at the numbers here, this is an absolute final at the moment. We've had 37 to 30 contested possessions in favour of Sydney. That's 67 in total. That's outnumbering the uncontested possessions. Everything means something here to the Swans, playing it in tight and tough.
Kennedy slips it to Malcheski. Tried to shrug a tackle and then lost it. O'Keefe, Grundy. Caught by Young and he just dumped it. Brust. Another fumble. Whitecross makes amends by mopping up his little mess. Gone though. Took too long, and that emphasises the point we've made
Yeah,
in this opening term.
That was a great tackle by Nick Smith, one of the better tacklers in the team. But and the Swans just again no time and space at all for Hawthorn.
Matner. Johnson. Everybody takes a breath. Big pack forms, no one can mark it. Roberts Thompson off the deck. Lewis clever to Birchall. Too wide though, and it'll be Malcheski's ball. The Swans can reload.
Well, it's the most uncertainty we've ever seen, I think, for the season, with Hawthorn trying to run the ball out of the fence. That's a poor kick coming back in, but they just shell-shocked by the pressure.
They just seem to be hanging onto the ball a fraction too long at the moment, Jace, because every time they're indecisive, they get tackled.
Birchall floats one. Johnson with the fist. Little nudge. Crowd wanted a free. Bird gathers regardless. Malcheski. Hannibal. Swans with all the answers right now. Shaw. Reads his target. He's up and he's got it. Great stretch. Fantastic hands.
That's a terrific mark. If we see it again, he really used his strength and pushed him off. Here it is here, and then reaches back over his head to mark the ball. Great mark.
Important kick for Sam Reid, because he's a confidence kicker, and if he can start hitting the target, well, the Swans now open up a very handy break.
27 goals, 16 this year. But he has had some goalless games. Strikes that okay. Not well enough.
Just didn't strike it with a lot of conviction. It was more a push in that direction rather than really kicking through the footy.
11 of his games this year has been held to under 10 possessions, Sam Reid.
15 to 7, the inside 50s in favour of the Swans.
Hale. Good slap down from behind by Matner. Kept that ball alive. Bird to Jack. To Reid. Gets another chance.
Well, the thing that's standing out for me at the moment are the number of times the Hawks have fumbled when they've had the ball and fumbled the ball out of the contest. Hale did it then on that occasion, straight into the hands of a Sydney Swans player who then has time to deliver the footy.
Yeah, they look really indecisive at the moment. Obviously, the Swans are putting on an enormous amount of pressure.
So 74% the probability for all players from this point. He needed every bit of it, but he squeezed it in.
Yeah, they went for the long kick out, and you're absolutely right. I think one of the Hawks players did get hold of the ball, and here it is here. Long kick, trying to go to numbers, trying to be predictable, goes for the mark. There it is, a chance there, and you only need one chance, two chances. So the Hawks had two chances, Lewis and Hale, to get hold of the football, two fumbles, and the ball goes down the other end of the ground, and Sammy Reid finishes with a goal.
The major problem the Hawks have got at the moment, guys, is they average almost 100 marks a game, which is 25 a quarter. They've only taken 7 so far. There's just no control, no ball control there for the Hawks.
Well, got no time and space. That's what Sydney have closed down. Kingy is spot on. They're not allowing them to control the ball with uncontested possession.
4 minutes left in the opening term. Jack with the clearance. Bird about to pounce. Parker coming off a 26 possession game, proving his worth again week by week. Johnson, Hanbury, and maybe within range.
It's an important kick, this. I'm not sure he can make the distance, but I thought he was going to look to short pass it, but a lot of Hawks now back in defence.
They have dominated the quarter. They probably deserve to be 4 goals up, Sydney.
Yeah, they do.
That would reflect the state of the game, I think.
Started on the bench today, gets under that a lot. Huge pack.
Yeah, just tough distance for Dan Hanbury. He's a nice sort of shorter kick, not known for his long goal kicking. But here, look at the numbers here in the defensive 50. And you can see Teddy Richards in the background there, right at the back. So he's the last man for the Swans. So even if the Hawks get a quick kick out, Teddy's back there.
Well, there's 2 of them. You've also got Rhys Shaw back, and this is where Hawthorn has to make an adjustment. They're going to have to back themselves one-on-one at the stoppages and keep an even number back, because when they do get that quick kick forward, they've got to have players there that can compete for it and actually hold the ball forward rather than just continually watching it rebound so quickly.
27 goalless minutes to start this game for Hawthorn.
Got Birchall straight up the middle now.
Up the middle,
And that's a really poor kick.
Gee, he had him early, Jace, didn't he?
He could have taken off up the corridor.
Ball should be in Hawthorn's 50, but that just shows you the indecision at the moment going through the Hawks' minds.
Worst.
They would certainly be looking forward to quarter time, and you're right, they're probably lucky to be only 20 points down if they go in 20 down.
Guerra, Burgoyne.
So they've still got options. I mean, they've opened up a little bit of space, but by being so slow with their movement of the footy, they've just allowed Sydney to close it down.
Gunston's a Stratton now. He could have got and gone, but he fell over, and it's a turnover. McGlynn, Kennedy, shut down. Extracts a kick. It won't be 15. It'll be play on. Shields, who laid the tackle, caused the turnover, gets a possession. Richards attacks it with Malcheski. They spoil each other. Lewis, handball not his finest. Then he drags Parker into the deck.
Called a dangerous tackle.
Even Lewis, who's normally one of those sure ball handlers, just panicked a little bit when he had the ball. I know he was under pressure, but the handball went absolutely nowhere.
Reid wants to fly. Didn't get the chance, and Gunston's lending a hand in defence and doing a good job.
18-7 inside 50.
That's a landslide, isn't it?
That is a landslide.
But for me, half of the I mean, that's just a terrible slip there of the footing for Stratton. But half of the reason is because they're outnumbered when they do, on the odd occasion, go forward, and the ball comes back so quickly. It's a great smother from Hodge.
Jetta still to make something of it. Now Chesky. Lewis Roberts-Thompson heard the touch call. He wanted to play on, but he spent it before it earned it. Stolen back. Jack, left foot kick. Splendid. Amazing start, Sydney Swans.
Just giving him a lesson at the moment. I think a lesson in constant pressure, surging the ball forward, playing the game on your own terms, numbers around the footy, and not allowing a team to play the way they want to play it. It looked like they were in a position here to clear it, Hawks. You saw some numbers, but again, a fumble. It went through the legs of Gunston, and then all of a sudden the Swans are there to mop up, and a terrific snap by Kieran Jack.
Yeah, they look completely shell-shocked at the moment, the Hawks.
Where is it? Right now, there's a two-man forward line for Hawthorn.
I think they're just, obviously, a minute 13 to go, but there's just so many fumbles. You've called it a couple of times, Chase.
Shields maybe gets his chance and he sprays it. We saw the time in the forward half moments ago. It's been...
Well, he had to have the shot. He had to have the shot because there was
no one there.
There were no forwards there, but again, the quality of the kick was extremely poor.
There's plenty of time left in this game. An enormous amount of time left in this game. Pike.
Well, they've just put everyone behind the footy, the Hawks. They're shell-shocked. They want to reset at quarter time. And I suggest, Roosie, Clark, I'd have some significant structural changes to make it quarter time.
Yeah, I think he does. 19 to 8. There it is in the box now. 19 inside 50s. They're on track for 80 for the game. So there certainly needs to be some changes.
Shields with the fist. When these two teams met earlier this year in round 5, there was a big transformation in the game at half-time. It was the Hawks that led and dominated the first half, and then Sydney came from 20 points down in the second half. Goods kicked 3 second-half goals, and they won by 37 points. Hawks will be hoping to do the same here, come from behind. They've had a horrendous first term, but it's about to be over. 19 seconds away.
Yeah, they certainly would be looking forward to quarter time, as at the moment all the matchups are in the Swans' favour.
Yep.
And that's not a coaching thing necessarily. It's just that the Swans players are playing a lot better at the moment than the Hawks players. So it really is, it's incumbent on the Hawks guys to really now lift. Clark can give his biggest praise he wants at quarter time, Jace, but it is up to the players now to say, okay, well, I know who my man is. I know he's grabbed me and he's beat me in the first quarter, but I'm going to bounce back in the second.
That's the key. Too many Hawthorn players are simply getting beaten on their merits by the opposition. And that's credit to the Sydney players. And you would know more than anyone, Roosie, there's only so many things you can do from the coach's box. You're at the mercy of your players and the performances that they put in.
Absolutely.
Time clock, 3 seconds left. Probably not time enough for a quick kick from this and a mark. And a huge round of applause. Listen to that. 27 plays 1 at quarter time.
Yeah, we've seen Mitchell now. Looks like he's gone to the half-back flank.
Oh, that's something he's done actually very successfully at different stages, but Bird's gone with him.
Yep.
Hale with the palm, but he missed Hodge. Gathered by O'Keefe. He's a different man, Mike Pike.
He is, isn't he? His hands have improved out of sight.
Yeah, they have.
Hands it off to O'Keefe. To the square. Reid gets the run and the pluck.
Look at
And 50, so he'll kick from the goal line.
Now, if there is a criticism of the Hawks, which has been all year, it is that high ball coming in, and we saw 2 coming in there. One, Burgoyne versus Pike. I mean, that's a tough matchup for Burgoyne, as we see Reid here. And then Reid takes a mark in the goal square. So that's where opposition teams, I suspect, would see the Hawks as vulnerable.
But what worries me, Ruse, is, and you watch the great hands here from Pike, so he's got the advantage, he plays in front. But when this long kick comes in from O'Keefe, it's still like a 2-on-2 contest in the goal square.
No
you've got
support.
Goods against Gibson, and you've got Reid against Schoenmakers. Where are the extras that are coming over the top?
Yeah.
Nobody.
Yeah, look, they're just not working hard at all at the moment, the Hawks, are they, really? Not working hard, no support down there. Great, it was a good effort by Adam Goods there just to hold Gibson off. Gibson, we know, is one of the best third-up jumpers, help his teammates, but when you're playing on Adam Goods, you can't really do that.
Mad scramble, players quick in from outside the square. McVeigh kept his feet to his own advantage nicely. Hanbury almost caught. Matner, Shaw. Swans with all the answers right now. Stratton forced the punch. Sewell, Shields, and he gets away. And it opens up now for Hawthorn. Lewis, Puopolo, run down, still got the kick away, but to push the kick to the pocket. Roughhead can't keep it alive.
Well, that's one of the few times they've had time and space, and it's just a poor kick coming in from Puopolo. Probably took an extra step, which put him under pressure. Wasn't able to get the ball back into the corridor.
2 ruckmen wrap up. Brust can't break free. He's got it. Trying to shovel it out. Umpire.
How long can you let
an enormous amount of time.
How long can you let it go for?
It's a bad look for our game, that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Third man up, Lewis with the flick. Shields. Again, can't break free. Sewell tries to bash his way through traffic.
And you understand that they don't want as many stoppages, so they give it every opportunity to come out. But by doing that, you allow a bigger pack to form.
More numbers get there, you're absolutely right. It backfires at the end.
Cleared by Jack to the wing. Again, Pike. Only had 4 kicks last week.
Jetta down the middle.
In the game for them. Guerra fisted it away dangerously. Goods, Gibson, both got there. Goods! Superstar start.
Touched off the ball.
Oh, boy.
Yeah,
put his fist up, the crowd went up, the umpire was right on the spot.
It's classic Sydney Swans football this year, isn't it? Just that, get all the players up the ground, turn them around. Jetta running in, Goods running in. That's a real worry for Alistair Clarkson, that passage of play from the Swans.
A sigh of relief for the Hawks. Guerra. Brust dragged down, didn't get a chance at it. Rough head to Hodge. Franklin, one-on-one. Gets there, can't mark, and he might be a little rusty. 6 weeks on the sidelines, and a few of those weeks unable to train. Smith, Johnson, Shaw. Burgoyne attacks it.
No, he did well too.
Sewell, handball smothered. Burgoyne back again. Whitecross, tough ball to mark. Impossible to mark if it's out on the full.
Dwayne, that's the problem at the moment at ground level here. You can see it, the Hawks, they just can't mark the ball in their forward half. They've taken 3 marks forward of centre for the entire game. By comparison, Sydney have taken 10.
And this is the possession they've got to stop, the easy one from here. They've got to man up and do a little bit to Sydney, what Sydney's been doing to Hawthorn in the first quarter.
Grundy to the wing. Mumford up. Hale the fist. Birchall handball a bit too slick for Guerra. Shields dumped. Mitchell in the thick of it. Unlucky not to get a free. Still in there. Umpire will sort it out. And we talked a bit about this game being for top spot, but for Hawthorn, they're not guaranteed top 4 just yet. And they've got West Coast next week. Here's this touched ball. Okay, it's a little indecisive, but the umpires are on the spot. Hawks have the West Coast next week. They wouldn't want to go down by a big number. Percentages in their favour, but 2 losses could see them slip from the top 4. Hale. Franklin again went for the chest mark. Smith opens up the angle, breaks free, Weddle on the ground. Dangerous, but it's there.
Gee, it was a fantastic handball from Jordan Lewis. An absolute beauty.
And there aren't many people you want to see breaking into space better than Isaac Smith, because he's one of the few. Yeah. He's got Matner chasing hard. It's interesting, Franklin tried to take it on the chest when he went for the big one. But have a look at the pace race here. I mean, Matner's quick off the mark, but Isaac Smith's one of the best runners for the Hawks. And again, gee, I'm glad that dribble kick went through. If it didn't, there would have been issues.
Yeah, great crumb, Jordan Lewis, and great handball over the top. And as you mentioned, Isaac Smith, good turn of speed and dribbles one through.
Games can turn. Goods, a goal that was disallowed for being touched, and now Smith against the flow. Kennedy kick smothered. O'Keefe gathered, caught too high, gets one, but it's play on advantage. Malcheski, Goods direction, gathers, went inside. Hanbury missed Bird. He had to go back and try and get it. Tapped away by Burgoyne cleverly.
There's a little bit more life about them now, the Hawks. Mitchell looks like he's really starting to throw himself around and get involved in this game. But they need, they need Sewell and they need Lewis. Lewis had a good game. He's had 11 possessions.
He's dangerous. They're leaving O'Keefe loose at the stoppages.
Mitchell with the clearance. Tipped by Malcheski. Hodges away. He wants Franklin to run onto it. It's a race. Franklin, Richards, Franklin used his body, goes back. He's got 2 to beat now. And he misses.
That's a really bad miss, and that's someone that's missed a lot of footy.
Yeah, that is.
He actually had more time than he thought then.
He could have run into an open goal then.
Yep. But at least they're creating opportunities, so that is the first sign of life from a Hawthorn perspective.
Yeah, a lot of time, but just no talk perhaps around, just telling him to steady and kick a nice drop punt.
Parker can't mark it. It was right on the line. We'll get a ball in. 34 plays 8. John Longmire. It's his team now. There's a few players like Alex Johnson who've only played under John Longmire. Still quite a few left from the Roos era, but John Longmire maybe got to forge his own. Sewell, top of the square. Franklin. Richards right with him. Matner and Grundy. The old firm combine again. Jetta on the outer side. Guerra. He knows Jetta's lurking. Little nudge. Handball. Boundary line if he wants it.
He did that well.
Keeps it alive. Shields can't mark it. Off hands though, but it's a dangerous ball. Swans under pressure for a change. Richards shows some poise. Could be coming back. Reed's got 3 to beat. Schoenmakers, Birchall flick.
Throw.
Burgoyne back to Schoenmakers. They get away with it. Shields can't mark. Hodge crumbs. Matner arms free. O'Keefe.
Look out.
Bird, McGlynn, Parker, open space ahead. He might have to kick it himself. Looks up. He had the handball option.
Well done, Burgoyne.
Burgoyne, sensational.
Yeah.
Back to Suckling, to Schoenmakers, and now it opens up for Hawthorn on the rebound. Guerra.
Got to hit a target with this kick.
Gunston from just inside 50 sizes it up and can't nail it.
You'd love to see that Burgoyne chase again. He came from the wing and ran straight. Well, here he is here. Just a terrific effort.
And then butted up.
Yeah.
Game's all of a sudden opened up a bit in the second term.
Yeah, it has. Geez, Gunston needed to do better than that. You called it, Jace, when he got the ball. He just was a bit of a nothing kick, wasn't it?
Shaw. Mumford feeding back. Goods is down there. Gibson, fist. McGlynn loves these. So reliable, and the Swans get one back.
That's probably what hurts the Hawks the most. They've had a couple of gilt-edged opportunities. Franklin misses an easy one. Gunston should have either hit a target or kicked the goal. And then you get a half opportunity here. He's under pressure, just throws it on the left. That's a great snap from McGlynn. And it's the equivalent of a 2-goal turnaround.
Yeah, it is, definitely. Well, Gunston had plenty of time and space over the other side. He just didn't look like he was clear on what he was going to do. Am I going to have a shot or am I going to pass it? And he certainly did neither.
Every game but one again this year for the former Hawk. They've taken pleasure in that. Ben McGlynn and the ball up. Kennedy wrapped up. Had it stolen from him. Whitecross couldn't get a kick away. Back to Kennedy. #1 clearance player in the game again this year, Josh Kennedy. Matner flicks it wide.
Just see no fumbles in all that chain there.
Kennedy, he's had 3 possessions in that string. Shaw, Jetta told to go, wasn't 15. Kick not so good. Hanbury made it okay. Gathered cleanly, finds Parker. O'Keefe, top of the square, LRT! Mumford's ball, free kick, top of the square for the Swans.
Well, Kennedy's had 15 and O'Keefe's had 15, so they're the ones that are creating all sorts of problems. Hanbury forward, and their mids are just smashing them at the moment.
And this is for the biggest lead of the game.
I reckon it was more high contact there than holding.
Yeah.
Just a little clip under the chin.
So that's the percentage from this spot on this ground, all players, 56%.
Gee, you think it'd be better than that, wouldn't it, directly in front?
For a 37-point lead.
Looking very one-sided now, Roosie.
Yeah, look, it's simply a matter at the moment that the Swans mids are absolutely all over the top of the Hawks mids. And we see Ryan O'Keefe, possession number 15. Just a long ball in. A lot of problems for the Hawks defenders with the ball coming in pretty quickly. Not super delivery, but at the moment, the Hawks defenders look really shaky. Free kick there, just a
wore that right on the face.
In the bush there. Just one in the melon.
Lance Franklin getting a rest. It's been rusty, out for 6 weeks, and the game's starting to slip away from Hawthorn. 7-2, the centre clearances.
Make it 8-2.
Pike in the ruck now, and he rolls one to half forward. Sewell gets there, but he's running the wrong way. Lewis Roberts-Thompson.
Even then, a fumble from Mitchell for a ball that he would normally pick up.
Goods given a free for being held, not in possession. He milked that, and he'll line up from just outside 50.
Geez, this is sloppy.
Takes off to Jetta, who loves to run and gun. He gets onto it, but it's across the face, slightly off hands. Parker didn't get a boot on it. It was across the line.
There's a lot of bad signs out there for the Hawks at the moment. Just Parker nearly running into an open goal. Mitchell, you could see what Goodsy was trying to do, and Mitchell just sort of let him get away with it. A handball across to Jetta.
They are almost at breaking strain, Hawthorn. Sean Makers.
Yeah, they definitely need the next goal.
O'Keefe was trying to stop him because he knew he had a loose player out wide, which was Shields, so he wanted to cover off the side kick, but he was over the mark. So now they've just got to make something happen out of this 4-0 forward. Got to kick it to a target or at least a one-on-one contest.
And he went for Sewell. It was over his head.
And that
sat on Whitecross, or maybe he went for Whitecross and
I think he was going for Whitecross, and that's a strange target in itself in traffic.
Sewell was the one that was free if he could hit him, but Whitecross is about to line up. But Franklin's back on now. He's just walked into the square.
It's in traffic, Jace, but it's also just on the 50.
Get it deep in there.
So even if he marked it, it was still going to be a tough shot at goal.
20 seconds gone, Brandon.
The players know how big this kick is. The crowd know. It's a 38-point margin right now. It's the biggest margin of the game. It might not have the carry. Here's a touch. Behind.
Yeah, nothing going right for the Hawks at the moment. That actually looked like it was over the line, but
a couple of inches short.
Yeah.
Grundy from Shaw.
Didn't look.
Turnover. Roughhead hasn't had a big influence yet. Sits it up in hope. Hale dragged off it, played for the free, didn't get it. Through some legs. Malcheski. Jack really motoring to try and get there. Burgon, he takes him on and then takes it away from him. To Pike. And it opens up again for the Swans. Hanbury, not a lot to go too long. Keeps it short, clever. Just flicked away by Sean Makers, who was wise to it. Smith. Gibson to Mitchell. It's got Gunston out wide. He had to go to him. No one was in the square. Gunston has already had a sider from here. He's caught though. Puopolo. Shaw having a great game. Handballs it up. Now Chesky. Shaw little flick on. Mattner edged out of it by Brust. Through some traffic again. Sewell tries to push off. Unsuccessful. Now, did he have Pryor? Yep. Most think he did. He did.
All going
wise to it too.
All going Sydney's way at the moment. Just the little things. When your luck's in, they're playing very well and just getting the breaks.
I tell you, the Swans defenders have been outstanding.
Yep.
One-on-one.
Reed props. Smith the fist. Young. Tries to centre it. Didn't get much. And didn't get any bend in the end. It's out on the full. Sure. But the Swans are taking us down Quality Street right now. To keep this up, they'll be the premiership favourites for sure tonight.
Absolutely. They just haven't got it. It's 25-18 inside 50, so they've squared them up a bit more this quarter, Hawks, but they just haven't looked dangerous at all going forward. Their skills, which is normally probably the most skillful team in the competition, they've just been terrible going forward.
And that's also, I think, where you've got to pay kudos to the Sydney defence. They haven't allowed easy lead-up targets. Everything's been kicked to a 50-50 ball at best.
Lewis knocked it to Bird, gave it to McVeigh, kicks to half forward, off some hands. Well read by Guerra. Left his man, Lewis, Guerra, slick. Ran into a brick wall, Smith, Jetta, to his own advantage. And then to his disadvantage, ball in.
Well, you can't knock Brent Guerra there, he took the bull by the horns. He just attacked it, and in the end he ran out of options. But it was terrific, a terrific effort to try and turn defence into attack.
Mumford's free.
Getting a few, so he's obviously troubling them in the ruck stakes.
McVeigh, that's a 60-metre bomb. Lewis Roberts-Thompson backs back, so did Reid. He looked for all money, he was never going to be able to touch it, Reid, but he has that outstanding stretch. Hale, Smith, again the Hawks get their chance. Can they finish it? Mitchell, Franklin will win a free here against Richards.
See, it didn't look like. He was pushing back on Richards. Richards was holding his ground, but he's probably been pinged for a hand in the back here. And this is a free kick that I really don't like. You know, you've got to be able to hold your position when a forward's pushing back on you.
Well, the ball was sort of going over Franklin's head. It's not as if Teddy was leaning on him, pushing him forward. It was the fact that Franklin was coming back on Ted. Again, not a great kick. It was with Mitchell coming through the middle there to Franklin. Not a great kick either there coming through from the Hawks.
So that's the probability, 40% from that spot on this ground. All players. Here's the free again.
Not a lot in it. Look, there's a hand on the back, but he's holding it, holding his ground.
That's what he has ahead of him. He's bent it back. It's coming. It's there. But he's back.
Yeah, look, technically it's there. It's a hand in the back, and that's the rule they brought in. And whether you like it or not, it's there. So if you look at here, but again, not a great kick in. It wasn't a great kick to advantage. It was more probably to Teddy's advantage. And just a technical error there from Ted. Probably should have just put the forearm up, held him out, and then spoiled the ball. But that's a good finish, and that'll give Buddy some confidence. Certainly at the moment, the ball use going forward is not helping him.
.52 for the season for Lance Franklin. More importantly, his first goal for months. Ball up.
Oh, another fumble.
Yeah.
O'Keefe inside 50. Gibson. Schoenmakers untidy. Was pressure on the kick. Turnover.
Well, that's the story of the game. A Hawthorn player in the middle. That was Mitchell, who doesn't usually fumble at all. But the story of the game, Hawthorn have been getting first possession, but they've been coughing it up so much in the first half of this game. And then Schoenmakers just kicks one out of bounds on the full.
Jack goes a little too wide as well. Or crunch. Hard fought mark for Suckling.
You really don't want Big Mummy crashing on top of you, do you?
I thought that pressure was in the mark, though. In the mark.
It looked like it. You're right. But obviously the umpire said he took the mark first, and then just a fraction late.
Into him.
Mumford barreled on top of him. Yeah.
They need to get a break. Suckling in game 50 tonight. Pumps it. Franklin hands on it. Almost Richards. Almost Puopolo. Gets it free. Lewis. Franklin on the left. Sidestep. Shrug. Kick smothered by Richards, who's worn him like a glove. Lewis dumped.
That was selfish by Buddy Franklin.
Wasn't it?
Yeah, he had a guy, not sure who it was, but
waiting for a handball.
See it outside. He had a guy outside. Everyone else was prepared to handball around.
And even after he missed the first opportunity, he then went to fend and tried to snap it. When he was looking right at the player he could have handballed it to.
Yeah, not good that.
So he's paid in the back against Franklin.
Not sure that's in the back either. It's quietly.
Puopolo rolls it. It's clean bowls, Franklin. Grundy.
Interesting handball.
Oh, Burgoyne. Strong. Kicks. Goals. No need to tell you. They needed that.
I reckon Sean Burgoyne's shown us something tonight that we don't see that often. He's always been regarded as having silky skills and being a real smooth player. We saw him once down back be aggressive. Have a look at the way he attacks the footy here. He knows there's going to be body contact. He says, I'll ride this. I'm going through, and I don't care who's there. And that's just doing something that a team needs, an individual effort that can be team lifting.
Yeah, he's probably been their hardest player today. You're absolutely right. Not that silky smooth player, but hard.
You're right, guys. It has been his trademark. Minimal possessions, maximum impact his entire career.
I'll tell you what, John Longmire wouldn't have been happy with Heath Grundy's handball, though, just quietly. Just a little lob wedge over the top in the defensive 50.
And a clearance now for the Hawks. Lewis to Franklin.
Isn't it amazing what happens when you handle the ball cleanly in the middle and you kick quickly forward and give the forwards a chance to play in front?
They led by 38 points, the Sydney Swans, only minutes ago. This kick to cut it back to 19. And there's your probability again, 52%. So
it's also
flip of the coin.
Their first mark inside the forward 50. And I noticed that the club physio has been out with Sean Burgoyne.
They'll kick this from on the paint. Bends it back, strikes it okay, squeezed it in. Franklin has two, and it's a 19-point game.
I think it's also, Jace, their first sort of real centre clearance, effective one, a clean one out of the centre. You mentioned the clean hands, and there's John Longmire. You can see him getting a little bit frustrated. Watch it here, first real clean hands, good. Not a great kick, but at least it's a deep entry, and it puts it into a dangerous area there. And look, not a lot of Teddy Richards could do there. Just a good contest and just playing against a very, very good player, and that's a good mark. But once again, take it on the chest, not in the hands, which is quite interesting.
I reckon that kick did a little bit of everything in the air. You can see the body language from Buddy Franklin riding it all the way.
7-5 to 4-4. A big 5 minutes coming up here to halftime. Another clearance. Sewell this time. Bruce couldn't quite trap it. Shields lays a tackle, but it's too high.
Yeah, again, a tough one for Bruce, but you know, they're the ones that generally, when Hawks are on song, they take them nice and cleanly. So another Hawthorn player gets an opportunity, but certainly they've lifted. There's no doubt about that.
Grundy got it from Malcheski. Kicks it towards Mumford. Flicked his fingertips, and Showmakers takes it out. 5.5 minutes left to half-time. First versus second on the AFL ladder. Top spot up for grabs. Sydney 1 game ahead of Hawthorn right now. 1 win ahead of them. But Hawthorn have them covered percentage-wise. So the Hawks win this, they take over top spot. Sewell got under that a little. Brust has to go. 4 against him. Roughhead stayed down. Used the push-off. Matner caught. No prior opportunity. Searches for the line. Gets away with it.
I know they've been getting away with it, Jason. They've obviously been in terrific form, but in an ideal world, Roughhead really be great to play him deep forward the whole game. I know there's no option, but is that the way you see it also?
Lewis from the pocket in the meantime. Sprays it. Sorry, guys.
Look, it's a little bit of robbing Peter to pay Paul, because he's played so well in that secondary ruck role. And what it does do is, if he's having a quiet day, it gets him into the game as well.
Jenner's got 2 to beat
Did
here.
you see the body work from Guerra? That was brilliant.
And Burgoyne's been the man.
Yeah, he has been the man. You're right, Dwayne. Absolutely. Burgoyne's up to 40, and this will be his 15th disposal.
He had a loose player on. He had Isaac Smith, so he must be confident about the kick, and he is a very good kick of the footy. But I love the way Guerra took front position away from Jetta. He just ran across in front, and he was going to make it. It was going to be a 2-on-1 anyway, but he took Jetta right out of the contest.
A hush falls over the SCG for the first time tonight. From just outside 50, squeezes it in, and in the blink of an eye, it's a 2-goal game.
Well, he's clearly been the best for the Hawks as far as I'm concerned. 15 possessions, a couple of goals, and that's coming from half-back with a little bit of a run in the midfield. He's been aggressive. He's done the hard yards, and it was great build-up work from Guerra. And you can see here, Isaac Smith, number 16. You'll see him turn around and put his hands up, which is right there, but Burgoyne backed himself. And if you're a beautiful kick of the footy, I love seeing players that are prepared to accept the responsibility of kicking the goal. Another one with a bit of body language.
What a big turnaround, though, Dwayne. I mean, it's amazing. You called 2 goals. I had to look at the scoreboard to see, because it's just been extraordinary. It started a little bit at these centre clearances. They're starting to get some real clean ball out of here.
Kennedy gets them a clearance.
I reckon the best thing is, at least we've got a contest now.
Yeah.
Because it was looking very one-sided there to start with.
Stratton, Mitchell, Hodge, Gunston half forward. Johnson used his body, couldn't mark it. Handball misses the target. Shields gets it up. Smith, little shimmy, Shields. Gunston to the pocket. Suckling outside of the boot. Oh, brilliant! From the top shelf.
Well,
Talk
I'm
about
not
a
sure you're going
turnaround.
to do that every day of the week, Jace, outside the banana kick. But again, you're absolutely right. There's John Longmire. He would be roped because they had the game pretty well under control. But good play. Stepped inside, and it's a great finish. It's a great finish, and back to 6 points. And you're absolutely right. We've got a great contest now, and this is what we came to see.
We just see the dominance from inside 50s this term, second quarter here. 18 to the Hawks, who are lamenting on 7 at quarter time. What a turnaround this has been.
Could they take the lead for half-time? Kennedy, another clearance. Birchall was ready for it, played in front, hacks it off the deck. Things are working for them. Dunstan marks.
And they've got aggressive off half-back. The way players are attacking the footy. Birchall on that occasion.
Sends it in the Franklin direction. He's got it. Spoil from Richards. Got nothing but ball there. Had he got hands or arms, it would have been a free. Malcheski back. O'Keefe. Bump was Richards. Got the handball. Turnover. Whitecross. Between legs. Shields put his head down. What a hard ball. Through Burgoyne. Puopolo. Franklin to tie the scores. Breathtaking.
Yeah, I'll tell you what looks to me anyway, Ruse, and you might see it differently. But it's almost, I know the score's a level now, so it kind of seems funny, but it's the opposite of what happened in the first term. All of a sudden, it's Sydney coming out of defence who are under pressure. Yeah. They're making mistakes. They're fumbling. How Shields was able to get a kick in amongst 5 players there is beyond me. But then now, they've turned the Sydney defence around, and they're at a loss to match up.
Well, we can see why the Hawks are premiership favourites, because they've come back in this game so quickly.
Franklin has 3. He has a rest. First game for 6 weeks.
Is that 6 in a row, Dwayne? It's 7 goals to 1.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They were 38 points in front.
Yeah.
From 38 points in front, the score's level in the shadows of half-time, and they're threatening to take the lead right now. Jack, no free.
Look at the pressure now. It's the carbon copy of what happened in the first term.
Well, we saw the inside 50s before in Hawthorn's favour, and it was exactly the opposite in the first quarter.
Knock 15, play on, thump to the deck. Whitecross gets there first in the pocket. Jetta.
Very happy to see the boundary line.
Big celebration.
Oh, nearly sheer in front of the goal umpire. And he saw the funny side of it too. Saw the contact coming.
Collateral damage.
Good footwork from the goal umpire.
The goal umpire enjoyed the goal, I think.
He can tell that story to his kids, grandkids later on too. Buddy Franklin run under me.
Reed to the wing. Reed kept it in front and takes off.
It's a race.
Goods on the run. Gibson. Goods. Sat for Goods. Hodge makes it a 2-on-1. Goods fought on well. Too clever, Hodge. Played it brilliantly to Sewell. Just inside the line.
We're just seeing the Hawks working harder now. You see Luke Hodge, how hard he pushed back to help his teammate.
So he had Roughhead up the line, but that opportunity's gone. He's going to have to go to Hale, and he's outnumbered.
Crowd getting their money's worth now. Hale wouldn't mark.
Should have marked.
Bird. O'Keefe. Now Reed stands under this. Hanbury off the hands. Guerra had it but left it behind. Kennedy. Lewis, Roberts, Thompson, Jetta. Obviously wants to come inside. Onto the right.
Clever kick. Really clever kick.
It's just Kennedy too. 2 possessions in that chain.
In fact, up now 20 has taken that.
Kennedy up to 20 possessions.
Swans are gone with a loose man here. Ryan O'Keefe just to stem the bleeding down back, and instantly he has an impact off half-back.
He's such an experienced player, Ryan. He just reads the game really, really well.
20 seconds now.
As the clock ticks down.
A fair beard sprouting out there too.
And Shorey.
Kicked 3 goals, 5 this year. Gee, that's beautiful off the boot. That was never in doubt. And the Swans take the lead back.
Yeah, so Josh Kennedy got involved again through the middle of the ground, and the ball went forward, and he got a nice crumb here. We can see it here. Jetta, really good composure from Jetta. Didn't blaze away and just hits Malcheski And Melcheski generally is a pretty good finisher. So, look, the Swans really did need that goal. They were 38 points up, got back to level, and now they've got a goal just to put them 6 points up with 33 seconds to go.
From 38 points up, the scores level to 6 points up again. Top spot on the ladder up for grabs. And the game has been an outstanding game to watch from the outset. Dying seconds. Guerra down to 25, just as the Swans thought they were going forward. Suckling short to Lewis. Needs to get it forward in a hurry. They need a mark from this, the Hawks. Gunston needs to go. O'Keefe thumps it down. Franklin stayed down on the left. Only a behind, but he's had a massive influence on this game and this comeback, more importantly.
Yeah, anyone that's even suggested that remotely Hawthorn a better team without Buddy Franklin. They talk about spread of goal kickers and all those sorts of things, but he's an exceptional player.
Dying second. Thumped to the boundary, and it's half-time at the SCG.
It looks like Luke Hodge versus Lewis Roberts-Thompson, so that's going to be a fascinating battle.
Swans by 5 points to start this second half. Mitchell almost a clearance, bumped off it. McGlynn had it stolen. Young came in off the side of the square, rolled, no prior opportunity. Through Sewell's legs, stops it, traps it, keeps it. And the umpire will bounce it.
And if Lewis Roberts-Thompson's instructions probably will be now to take Hodge right back to the goal square, but he's actually coming up to the stoppage, which I'm not sure that's the right option for Lewis, because Hodge is one of the best distributors and ball users. Now Hodge has dropped back onto Adam Good, so I would think Lewis Roberts-Thompson should be jogging straight back to the goal square.
One thing Luke Hodge will do is he'll read the game. He'll leave his opponent and back himself to read the footy a little bit better.
McGlynn heard the umpire touch ball. Hale attacked it. Stratton, Whitecross, Guerra. Franklin. Richards right with him again. Puopolo back of that contest. Little tap back. Matner read it. Wrapped up. No prior opportunity, which means ball up.
Thank you. Thanks, Marty. Thank you, Marty.
Alistair Clarkson.
Yeah, fascinating. It looks like they have decided to not give the Swans an extra player, as you mentioned, a 7-man forward line.
And I like that move, because you don't want Sydney to get back to the stage they had in the first term, where they felt they could control the footy and get that overlap.
Two coaches here tonight, old teammates from their days at North Melbourne. John Longmire and Alistair Clarkson know each other well. It's a big battle for them as well. You can see in the middle of it, Josh Kennedy. His grandfather coached them both, the great John Kennedy Sr., when they were both at North Melbourne. Pike, Hale, Franklin, third man up. Hale to Burgoyne, star of the second quarter show. Stolen back again. Young almost threw that away. Puopolo dragged down Shaw. Slip tackle. Trip. Free kick. Top of the square. And the Hawks have not led in this game. The Swans have led from the outset. And this for the lead for the first time tonight.
It's just determination. He said, I'm running. I'm backing myself in, and I'll break this tackle. And in the end, the Shaw tackle was initially good. It just slid lower and lower as Puopolo tried to power his way through it. Short run up
to silence. It gives the Hawks the lead for the first time.
Yeah, no, you're right there, Jace. It was just a determination that actually milked that free kick, because Shaw was right on top of him as he took the ball from that last stoppage and was able to make the initial tackle. Here it is here. He's right on him, right on top of him. He was able to make the initial tackle. But Puopolo just kept on working, kept on moving his legs, and just slid down. And Clarko, as you can see, is quite happy with that start.
By the looks of things, he might have just felt a little niggle after he landed after that ankle tap as well.
Xavier Ellis, the sub for Hawthorn, yet to be used. Mitch Morton, the sub for Sydney, yet to be used. Kennedy, another clearance. Mumford, Lewis Roberts-Thompson, both down there in one-on-ones. Stratton kept it in front. Wobbles it to the outer side. White Cross could take it to the line if he wants to, and he looked around, realised that was the best option.
There he is. There's that. Two different types of subs, aren't they, Jace? One's going to be playing in multiple positions, and you would think the only position Mitch Morton can play is that forward role, but yeah, he could come on and give them some spark and kick a couple of goals.
Very similar in terms of the games played this year. Morton in for just his second game of 2012, and Xavier Ellis in for just his third game of 2012.
Well,
that's where he hurt it, yeah. Stretch the knee. O'Keefe. Stratton stands under it. Hodge. Guerra looks around. Jetta shuts him down. Quick time, and then overcommitted there. Allows him to kick to the wing. Nice collect by Smith on the run, and he's got Suckling on the overlap. Who does he want with the left? He wants Franklin up. No free. He was buffeted. He wanted the free. Rough head. Slips out a handball. Shields toward goal. It's coming back. Oh, boy. This is a different Hawthorn after quarter time. They lead by 7.
Yeah, and it all started from a missed tackle with Lewis Jetta on the back line.
Yep.
John Longmire there has seen a massive turnaround in the game, but Jetta just missed a tackle on Guerra. Guerra got it out the front of Isaac Smith, and then a really good hard running from Suckling. Not a great kick. He's normally a fantastic kick, but not a great kick. Buddy was probably stiff not to get a free kick there, and a bit of a fumble, nice handball, and that's a really good one-step round the corner snap at goal from Liam Shields. Terrific.
Stunned silence here at the SCG. Shaped all week as maybe the biggest home and away game of the season, and right now for the Swans and Hawthorn it is living up to the expectations. Lewis Roberts-Thompson, he's hardly seen it. They get the clearance and they can cut it back to a one-point game. Hodge dismayed.
Yeah, well, it was a really dodgy hand pass in the middle of the ground. They got their hands on it first, the Hawks, but it was a flip
Lewis,
over
I
the
think,
top.
wasn't it? Yeah.
A bit of a speculator. You're better off throwing that on the boot. And Luke Hodge, as we said, does sit off his opponent a little bit. He'll read the play, but that quick kick left him with nothing.
He's been ultra accurate this year. 21 goals, 8. Lewis Roberts-Thompson keeps it low, makes it a one-point game.
Yeah, Roberts-Thompson's got to take him back to the goals where you mentioned Hodge just likes to play off his man. That's his strength. But here it is in the centre bounce. Lewis had it and just coughed it up. It was a shocking handball. And then a low, not sure that was directed at Lewis Roberts-Thompson, but certainly his Sewell here. See, just his leg there going into, he's now off the ground, so the leg going into the side of Craig Bird.
So Brad Sewell off with a slight problem. And Puopolo also has come to the bench in this third term with a slight niggle. And the ball up. Kendi again. Just keeps on keeping on to Jack. Pike from behind. John Makers held his ground. Bird half smother off the side of the boot. Birchall. David King.
I think there's big news down here, boys. He's getting some strapping on the leg here, Brad Sewell. Certainly a right knee issue. He was definitely strained in that last contest you just saw on the replay there. This could be big news for the Hawks finals campaign.
Yeah, so he's out for more than just the second half here at Hanbury. They've got the West Coast Eagles next week, Hawthorn, and even if they win tonight, they might still have to win that to finish in the top 2. Here it is again.
Just the follow through of the kick. You watch him, he picks it up and throws it on the boot, and the leg goes through and just goes into the back of Bird.
Bruce squeezes it out. Lewis got it from Roughhead. Franklin, unkind bounce, but he's still away. He's running towards goal. Burgoyne taps it, and Puopolo kicks it. Franklin's direction. Smith right with him. Ball bounced kindly for Richards. He was caught trailing behind Franklin, and it set up for him. Smith to Matner, to the boundary umpire. Mitchell's ball. Have had a few injury worries in the lead up to this. Sam Mitchell back from his calf injury. Gibson back as well from his ankle. And now a couple with worries on the sideline for Hawthorn. But they lead by a point.
Choosing to kick on the left foot.
Franklin jumps. Brust stays down. Nearly had it. Shields. Puopolo back on. Back in the heat of the kitchen. Smith going nowhere.
Hard to see the game really breaking open now because it's just going to be one-on-one contest, stoppages all over the ground.
Yeah, Saul doesn't look like a guy that's not going to come back on there, does he? He looks reasonably relaxed as he's getting his knees strapped, so you'd expect him to come back on the ground.
Franklin took them on. Gunston toward goal. And it bends a little too far for his liking. Matner. Full house here at the SCG. Seen their team 38 points up. Have their lead taken away. Hawthorn now by 2. Goods out of sight. And he was the star of the show in round 5 when the Swans came from behind to win. 3 goals in the second half in that game in Launceston. Stratton takes it to the line.
They did that well from the kick out. They loaded up on one side with O'Keefe, with Mumford and with Goods. And they were always going to go that way. They kicked short, but it was to a left footer in Smith who could play on and kick long down the line. They were always going to find one of those marking targets.
Lewis from the flick down. Hard attack, and he flicks it off. Young. And Franklin's got a couple to beat here. Richards edges him under it, and Grundy was wise to it. The old ploy.
Geez, the ball use to Franklin hasn't been great, which is normally even that kick, it's not going to be lace out, but it wasn't even to the advantage side as we see Saul there. Looks like ready to come back on.
Wants to test it at least. Mumford, double palm. Kennedy, Hanbury, Bird. Reid and Gibson. Handball from Reid, put O'Keefe under pressure, and it's taken to the line, and it's again pressure possession after pressure possession, and that one called ball by the umpire. Said that he had prior opportunity to dispose of it legally. Smith. Suckling. Keeps it low to Young. McLean, and he shakes him. Runs to 60, wants Franklin, hits Franklin.
Well, that's the first one you've spoken about, Ruse. You said the delivery hasn't been great. That's the first time that Franklin's been able to really lose Richards. He propped, it was like he was going to go back. Richards stopped, Franklin came again, and Young just normally kicks long, but he saw the short one on and chipped it beautifully.
It was a good option.
Brad Sewell's just made his way back onto the ground. He's going to have one little run here and see how that knee holds up.
Franklin told he has 20 seconds, 45% the probability from this spot, all players. Never going to work that back.
Probably the first time also, Jace, they were able to spread Sydney from down back. They went from one side of the ground to the other. We saw a great kick from Suckling out the front of Young, and then a nice entry inside forward 50. That's their preferred game style.
Malcheski hoping for Reid, shrugs Stratton, who was good enough to get back with the fist. Reid had a good first term.
Sorry, Dwayne. They almost look like they've gone one-on-one at the kick-ins. When Sydney are kicking in, it looks like every Hawthorn player's got a man.
Roughhead slips Mumford down to Burgoyne. Too slick for Mitchell. Sewell gets a possession, hobbles a little after that.
Oh, great tapping.
Flick back in. Lewis against the boundary line. Can't even score. Eyes of the football world on this one right now. Top spot up for grabs. And these two teams have, in essence, shown the best and the worst of themselves. Reid, almost.
And now it's the Swans really struggling to get it outside their defensive 50. It was completely opposite in the first quarter. There's no question the Hawks, the second quarter and early part of this quarter, have really become a lot more aggressive defensively and made it a lot harder for the Swans to move the ball.
Rough head. White cross. Nicely done.
Yeah.
Sewell kick smothered. Goods. Which one-on-one does he want? Fist from Suckling. Stratton, clever. Suckling again. Sean Makers trying to show some poise. You knew Burgoyne was there. Hands it up. White cross. He wants Young on the open side. Young was blinded by the lights there. He waited for it to go over his head. Tracks it down. Uses his speed. Holds it up. Birchall. Franklin. Richards takes him out. He kept Franklin goalless in round 5. Ted Richards. If you've joined us late, Franklin now has 3, all in the second term, and he has a spell. He's looked okay in his first game back from 6 weeks off. Goods.
I don't know how many throw-ins Sam Mitchell's gone for, but he went for that one.
Looks like Adam Goods has moved up onto the ball too. So the last couple of stoppages, unless he's just that half forward now pushing up, the last couple of stoppages he's right up the ground.
Hodge, Guerra, Smith, Whitecross combined. And again they set it up in hope. The fists come. Disciplined Swans defence. Johnson. Hanbury trying to keep his feet and keep it alive, but to his detriment. Whitecross found the line.
Just a ground level here, Ruzi. It looks as if the Swans have stopped their running off the half-back flank. Reece Shaw's been kept quiet this term. Haven't quite got that overlap going yet.
It does look like the Hawks are going one-on-one, Kingy. So a little bit opposite that we saw in round 5 at Launceston, where the Swans chose to go one-on-one in the second half. So at the moment, there's not too many free Swans players.
Good news is Sewell is over that contest and he looks confident on the knee. As I said earlier, re-signed. It's going to be a Hawk for life in essence. Coming off a 35 possession game last week as well, so they need him to stay in good form. Guerra floats it up a little. Grundy, third man up.
That's the kick they've got to avoid. To an outnumbered Hawthorn player in the air where there's a body-on-body contest and the loose third man just comes up and takes the uncontested mark.
Johnson.
Yeah, well, Marty Mattner's dropping off pretty much at every stoppage. So if they're going to bomb it out like they did then someone will roll off and affect the spoil or take the mark as Grundy did then.
Hodge did well on Mumford. Side by side, height advantage Mumford. Hodge forced him to the line.
Reece Shaw back onto the ground. He was stuck on the bench for the best part of 10 minutes there. He just couldn't get back onto the ground, unfortunately. But Malcheski's just come off and he's gone on. Sorry, Mattner's just come off and he's gone on.
Hale, but down to O'Keefe. Kennedy again clears the congestion. It's out of play.
He's a pretty important player for Sydney, Reece Shaw. You wouldn't want to see him sitting on the bench for too long.
Well, he does provide them that run and carry off half back. So now down the other one, we've got Luke Hodges, the one that's sitting off the stoppage. And he's obviously a dangerous, creative player. We can see him backing out the back of there, right in the Swans Swans forward 50 as he's coming up now. So they're outnumbered, the Swans, as the Hawks would be at the other end, I would suggest.
Luke Hodge directing traffic. As is the umpire with the ruckman. Down to Goods. There's Ruzi told you on the ball now. Hanbury, Shaw, O'Keefe, Lewis Roberts-Thompson and Gibson. Oh, clean bowls, Gibson. Lewis Roberts-Thompson runs onto it. Stratton with the bump. The cavalry arrives for Hawthorn. Sean Makers to Guerra. Spears it to half-back. Gunston made a contest, but it went straight to McVeigh. Inside 50. Good thump, Sean Makers. Down to McGlynn, though. High to the square. Roberts-Thompson up. Trunch. Off hands. Reed. O'Keefe. Just out of his reach. Goods. Surely put it in the book. Tackled. Got it on the boot. Missed it.
Might have been a handball opportunity there as well. But some desperate defence.
Yeah, it was a great tackle. He's tried to step around, and he's a big man, Adam Goods. It was a terrific tackle.
Hawks cling to their lead. Birchall. Called to go, Suckling. Sean Makers.
Haven't seen them able to do this too often. Just the little chip kicks and keep hitting targets.
18 minutes gone, third term, in this battle for top spot. Birchall Hawks clinging to a 3-point margin. Fantastic attack, Suckling, but he left it behind. Jack just as committed to Kennedy, to Pike. Sweeping kick, won't make it to Goods. Hodge, you wouldn't expect anything else.
Yeah, the entries both ends now pretty sloppy. Both teams are struggling to find a target inside their forward 50.
Franklin.
This is the kick. This is the critical kick now.
Left that for Suckling. Protected him. Called him in. Kick not so good. Smith. Went for Franklin. Richards right on the spot. Shields puts it back to the hot spot. Might be Roughhead's turn. Doesn't get a run at it. Off hands. Bruce. He's hardly seen it. And he misses.
This is a good crumb. Great clean hands, but just the finish. He just brought it back too far. But again, just an entry that doesn't give the forwards a real opportunity to mark the ball. So neither team's finding a really easy avenue into goal at the moment.
Shaw to Lewis Roberts-Thompson. Tight to the boundary. Hodge wants to keep it alive. Jetta was held before he took possession.
Yeah, I think it's a fair decision. He was terrified he was going to take off Brad Sewell, so he just grabbed a hold early.
Goods buffeted there. Pleads at the umpire for a free.
Just see he's got hold of the arm before the ball even gets there.
And who's holding who? Had a little bit of Sewell's jumper as well. Crowd starting to find voice again. Sewell dives in, scoops it out. Pike cuts it off, turns it over though. Young, Hale, Sewell play on advantage. Would have been a free turnover.
The whistle went just as he was kicking it, didn't it? That's a tough call.
Grundy to Smith.
That was a risk. Smith taking off and leaving McVeigh.
Short of McVeigh to McGlynn. Reed wants it long.
Got Mumford calling for it long too.
Yeah, Mumford's going to be the one. In the pocket, has the reach. Burgoyne, clever fist. He fisted it to the boundary. He killed it rather than keeping it alive. Everybody enjoying this one at the SCG. The finals preview. We won't be back here if they play in Sydney in a couple of weeks' time. It'll be at ANZ Stadium. They're enjoying it here in this beautiful weather. Ball knocked to the back of the pack. Gibson. Schoenmakers needs a good kick. Smith. Fantastic contest, Brust.
I'll tell you what, that was a good kick from Schoenmakers. That was an excellent kick. About a 50-metre kick, pinpoint, just lobbing right on top of the boundary line in a good spoil.
Top two so important to finish top two, end of the season. Home final, first up, double chance. Goods from the pocket, from the angle, Mumford.
He nearly read the intercept, Jetta, didn't he?
He was flying there, Jetta, wasn't he?
21 and a half gone third term.
Just starting to get some easy ball in this quarter here. The Hawks, 44 uncontested possessions to Sydney's 23. Just starting to get their chip game going down back and really starting to light up into some space here, their running game.
Schoenmakers again.
Yeah, it's certainly noticeable from up here, King. Just that kick there, even from Guerra to Schoenmakers, wasn't available in the first 45 minutes of this game.
Franklin up. It's bumped under it. Gunston. Franklin. No one's in the square. He shows it. He's caught. Dragged down. Disposed of it legally, according to the umpire. Brust, Hale, Shields. High. Roughhead. Full forward. Can't mark it. Good fist. Johnson with the 1-2 with Grundy. Matner. Shaw. Through Smith. It'll work. McVeigh. O'Keefe. Using it well. Jack. You're seeing the benchmark in some respects right now. McVeigh long. Goods. Got it.
That's the matchup you wanted. It was Guerra that had to cover Adam Goods, and he was running back with the flight of the foot. He didn't know where Goods was. Just broke it open through the middle of the ground. It's been tough at both ends trying to find easy passage forward.
Well, Roughhead down the other end versus Grundy. Great spoil from Grundy, and the ball goes down the other end of the ground.
So 60% the probability from this spot on this ground, all players. Adam Goods for the lead back. Yes. And the crowd find voice again.
Yeah, it was a very critical spoil by Grundy on Roughhead, but once again, both teams not having great forward entries. The one coming into Roughhead wasn't a super kick. There it is here. Good tackle and chase by... not sure that's a legal handle, but he tried anyway. And there it is. Good run here. Follow-up run by McVeigh. And just a really good one-on-one contest by Adam Goods on Guerra. Tough for Guerra there. Out.
He was the key when the Swans came from behind against the Hawks to win in round 5. 3 second-half goals. Could he be the key again, Adam Goods? Touch play on from the clearance. Fantastic attack from Shields, but he's dragged down. Hanbury straight down the middle. Parker bump. Hodge experience.
Yeah.
And Burgoyne can go. Franklin wants it long. He gets what he wants. Can he get a run out of those? He's got a couple to beat. Almost. Malcheski wrapped up by Lewis. Didn't have prior opportunity. High contact, free kick, Swans ball.
Just put the leg on him, Franklin.
Malcheski to take it.
Don't know that it was intentional, but he was just trying to pick up the ball, and he actually burrowed underneath Franklin, Malcheski, didn't he? There's not much you can do there.
Not much Buddy could do there.
Mumford, but Showmakers right with him with the fist. Suckling searches to the line. 25 gone. Third term, 3:48 left.
Brucey, do you think the Swans have to do anything about Luke Hodge playing loose man at the moment down back?
Well, all the games like it is, I guess they're 3 points in front. He's certainly a creative player. There's no question about that. I think what they've got to do is try and drag him back to the goal square.
McVeigh, McGlynn, Kennedy, Bird all had a touch on it. Free kick, Hodge off the ball.
Interesting, Buddy's not even leading now, Jace. I don't know whether it's a tired thing because he hasn't played, but he hasn't. I've noticed the last 2 entries, he hasn't led. He's actually waved the ball. Sorry, waved at the ball carrier and just said kick it in long. So,
but I think also because they've got that spare man in defence with Hodge playing loose at the other end, they want to get in as deep as they can and not let that turnover happen up around the 50-metre arc.
Roughhead and Pike down to Gunston. Quick snap goal. 9-point margin in favour of the Hawks.
I just think it's going to be one of those games, Jace, where it's just taking... There's John Longmire. He'd be sort of wanting to know what happened in this defensive stoppage because the Swans pride themselves on these situations. But
it was good body work from Roughhead to get the ball back inside.
And a really good, clean hands by Gunston. There wasn't a lot of time and space. I think Hanbury was certainly, whether he's his direct opponent, he was the one that was nearest to him, but really good, clean hands from Gunston. Didn't fumble it, so gave himself a step and kicked a nice snap goal.
3-point margin in favour of the Hawks. Scoreboard was slick there. And Gunston, 10-10-70 to 10-7-67, starting to have an influence as well. Mitchell's free. Roughhead.
Gee, that was one he'd normally snaffle. He got the run and jump at it.
O'Keefe. Roughhead strips him of it, wants to have another crack at it. Had it, lost it, dropped it, gave it. Kennedy.
It is hot.
Showmakers called into it. 70 plays 67.
Really good vision.
Yeah.
Lewis hands it off. Birchall long. Gunston off hands. Hale about to pounce. White cross from the pocket, and he misses.
Gee, it is hot. There's pressure on, so he can make the most of their half opportunities at either end.
Yeah, that looks like both teams are going to continue just to bomb the ball to the top of the square. Yeah.
They don't want those quick rebound turnovers, so they're driving it in long.
To the outer side. Goods wants the 1-2 with Jetta. He was held up after he handballed, wanted a 50. Jetta takes off regardless. Shows a couple and then pumps it. Lewis Roberts-Thompson up from behind. Showmakers down.
Great effort.
Good crumb, good tackle. Bird pounces around the body, back to the hot spot. Hodge got a hand on it. That was enough. Showmakers toward the wing. The temperature's rising in this one. 1 minute 40 left to three-quarter time. Jeddah, McVeigh squeezes the kick. LRT.
Gee, he's got good vision too, hasn't he? McVeigh.
Is he just beyond his range? He knows it.
Looked like there were some holes and some options, but again, going to pump it long.
Keeps it low for Reed to jump. Goods is there. Reed's got hand to it. Hodge, clever. 1 minute 18 left to three-quarter time. Not a spare seat in the house here at the SCG. Top spot up for grabs. And we're still no closer, really, to knowing who's going to win it. And maybe edge closer to the minor premiership. 71 plays 67. And Alistair Clarkson about to make his way downstairs. Sewell, fist on. Smith. Hawks getting numbers back. Young says, let's hang on, boys. Let's take it easy. Lewis. Inside a minute. Shields. We're down to 40. Young. One last roll of the dice here with a long kick forward, but it's wide. Richard stands under it.
Been a great kick there.
No, it's a poor kick, and you give Sydney one last chance to rebound it. Will they take a risk, or will they play safe down the line?
Gibson, Goods, both there. Crush it down. Needs to be quick, Young.
Oh,
not with that kind of kick.
He missed it.
Scoop up. Kennedy, McGlynn. He went short, and that should do.
Very rare that you see a bloke nearly have an airy with his natural foot.
It is.
He's going to have a crack.
Shot.
Come on, LRT.
Why not?
That would have been a big goal.
It never got inside 50.
Three-quarter time
for it
at the Sydney Cricket Ground, and this is what the game is all about. It's first versus second on the AFL ladder. Top spot is up for grabs. Premiership favouritism for the winner. And at three-quarter time, it's the Hawks by less than a goal. It's a 4-point game. It's been a great comeback for Mitch Morton in some respects. 12 games for the West Coast Eagles, 59 games for Richmond, and now in his second game for the Sydney Swans. Final term in this first versus second battle for top spot on the AFL ladder, with 1 round left in the home and away season after this. Mitchell with the clearance. Grundy got there, left it behind. Ridden, free kick for in the back.
Looks like Buddy's just stretching there, Jace, too. Look at him there. He's just stretching his calves. So he's cramping already, and that might be the reason why he's just standing inside the forward 50 with pointing and not really moving in the last couple of entries in the last quarter.
Pike to Morton, the man we spoke of. Long, Reed, inside 50, got 4 to beat. Sewell, back of the pack. Can't take it through. Goods the smother. That's as good as taking it through.
It is. It's actually a good result for
another bad
result. No one to kick to.
Guerra straight down the middle. Showmakers. A fist from Mattner. Kennedy, unkind bounce, Burgoyne. Can't find a target. Shields thumps it on. Richards gets there before rough head. Handball not so good. Shaw made it okay. To Bird, McVeigh. Shaw, Bird, O'Keefe. Thought about nailing it from there. Goes to McGlynn.
It could have gone either way there. The Hawks had a chance, but they just had a couple of fumbles, didn't control the footy, and then the quick rebound. Slick hand pass by the Swans, and he had a decision to make, Ben McGlynn, because he was in space. He could have played on, but I reckon you're much better off if you're in range going back and having a set shot.
For the lead back. And this is to the near side. 2-point game.
Really strange run up. I mean, he made the distance easy, but he ran way out to the right and hooked the ball across the body, which is what players tend to do when they feel like they're outside their kicking range.
Going to win that trade. McGlynn playing well for the Swans, and Stratton and Suckling, the 2 players Hawthorn got with the draft picks they traded him for. Birchall, Smith.
You got it, Josh.
He doesn't have much long up the line.
They've been able to switch a bit more in the second half than what they did in the first quarter, that's for sure. And here it is. It's just opened up a bit now. We see Gibson going out the wing there.
Hodge finds him. 50-metre pass with precision. Mitchell.
Hold it there, Craig. That's him gone.
And he pumps it. It's touched. Hale should get it. And now he tries to convince the umpire that it wasn't touched. I think he faked his sincerity fairly well there, Hale. Maybe he didn't know. Kennedy. Reed's got Schoenmakers with him. Schoenmakers a little hand touched the back. Umpire missed it. Guerra. Sewell.
Mitchell just didn't go back off the mark before at all, did he? It was a strange sort of almost a play on and got touched, and Hale was by himself and marked the ball, but
Well, it was the sort of night that David Hale's had. He's got his hands to a few and dropped them, and the one that he does take has been touched off the boot.
Lewis Roberts-Thompson done for the night. Morton on. Throw-in beats both ruckmen. Jetta gets there at full tilt. Handball not so good. Schoenmakers. Hodge. Caught by Smith.
Great tackle.
Kicked it whilst on his back. Got away with it. Sewell wrapped up. Dragged down. Suckling. Whitecross on the full.
It's a couple that he's kicked out in the full on this side of the ground. Just trying to roost it too hard.
yeah, that's exactly right, Josh. You just need a controlled, even under pressure, just a controlled drop punt down the line. He tried to kick the cover off that with a barrel.
McVeigh. Back to Shaw. Gallops away. Smith. Goods runs to the open side. Really had to get the skates on.
Oh, they're on here.
He could line up. He tries the spear pass. Morton flicks it out to Pike. He leaves it. Good option. O'Keefe better at centering it. Not a great job though. Bird crunches it down. Stratton kick half smothered. Hodge hurriedly.
Drop the arm, Sydney, free kick.
Sydney free kick. It's going to be Grundy's ball. Chop the arms was the call from the umpire.
Now, most of these kicks have just been going long bombs to the top of the square, so neither team's really been able to find a short target inside 50.
Doesn't kick goals often.
Just chips it to the hot spot.
Disciplined centering kick. Crushed by Gibson. Suckling off the deck. Good option. Might be coming back. Richards at full pace. Stripped. Well played. Bruce just stole it from Malcheski. Gunston not the equal of it though. Hanbury back against the grain.
Critical turnover.
Knock 15 from Matner's boot to Parker. Takes some time. Shows some poise. Johnson. Kennedy. In fact, it's Smith. Middle of the ground. Told to go. Sends it wide. Pike's out there. Got rid of Hodge. Took a legal mark according to the umpire. He was in good form last week.
It was just too big and strong there. Just threw him out of the way.
Tough ball for Hodge coming in. Here it is here.
Gee, hands in the back.
That may have been a free kick just slightly.
It's a woeful decision.
The double hand. That's a free kick in anyone, but it doesn't matter what the rules are.
Who's to say he can't kick it from here? Not quite. Near side. Cuts it back though. It's a 1-point game.
Yeah, it's really tightened up, hasn't it? Neither team, a lot of pressure. There it is here. He's got one hand in the back, one hand inside. Nice shove, but oh, that's okay. Give the Canadian one.
Matner from behind. McVeigh keeps it alive. Malcheski looks up. Pass target.
Yeah,
Good
kick. Really good kick.
I thought the error came from the kick out.
Yeah.
You kicked to a 50-50, but there were also extra Sydney players at ground level, and the ball, if it wasn't marked, was always going to come back. And you can see Suckling just a shake of the head, an apology there. Knew he took the wrong option. And Adam Goods, as you said earlier, Dwayne, he only has to have a few possessions, kick a few goals. He turned the game down in Launceston. He could do it again tonight. Only 14 possessions, 1 goal to his name.
for the lead back.
Beautiful.
Nice kick.
Doesn't get any better than that. Swans are back in front.
Yeah, no, you're right about the kicking. Just now, every decision's just going to be critical now for both sides. We see here, I don't know, it's a falcon from Marty Mattner, and then really good play there by McVeigh, outnumbered. This is a smart kick, really good vision, good awareness from Malcheski just to hit Goods. And Goods' second half's been really productive. He's starting to get in the game, 15 possessions and 2 goals. He certainly is a critical player in this team.
Sydney chant rings around the Sydney cricket ground. Swans, who led by 38 points earlier tonight, back in front by 5. Wobbly bounce, not recalled. Pike the clearance. Mark at half forward is good. Morton. Goods is on the move. That's ignored. He heads in the Reed direction. He should get the jump. He's up. And crumbs and drop kicks it.
Oh, missed
and
it.
misses.
I think he fumbled it as he went to grab it and then fumbled it. And then thought, hang on, I better sink the slipper into it. So it was going to be an easy run into an open goal. There it is there, just a little fumble.
Pressure has been intense in this game from the outset.
Hawks have made their substitution, boys. We have Whitecross off and Xavier Ellis substituted into the game.
Pike and Roughhead go at that one. Hodge gathers the crumb. Wants Sewell on the run. Franklin, one-on-one. Franklin, Richards. Franklin, front spot. Richards wearing him. Franklin to his advantage. Richards still with him. Takes him to the line. Franklin keeps it in. Kick okay. Puopolo can't shake the tackle. Got to be ball.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
That can't be the decision. Although he's got one in the eye, but surely it looked like he'd... John Longmire can't believe it. It looked like he'd had an opportunity holding the ball. And obviously there's late contact to the eye. And this is where umpires give the ball an eternity to come out of the contest.
He spun around 360.
You've got to reward the good tackle. Now, there's no doubt he got one in the eye.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I would have thought holding the ball was the first free kick.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Now, he kicked one at the other end off 2 steps. A very short run-up. See if he does the same.
To the booze to level the scores. It's all tied up, 77 apiece.
I look forward to a replay of this one because it's brought the crowd alive.
Well, here it is here.
It's a great tackle. That's ball. That's ball all day. And then it's O'Keefe coming in.
It's clumsy by O'Keefe.
Yeah.
He's got to be holding the ball before that, surely.
John Longmire cannot believe it.
Yeah. I mean, that's a poor decision. Anyway.
From the moment we arrived here in bright sunshine, you knew the football gods were keen for a big one to the side top spot. Scores are level, all square, halfway through this final term. A clearance to half forward, Guerra. Gathers and goes. Brust, one-on-one, Mattner right with him. Half a knuckle on it, and it rolls across the line.
Do you like Brent Guerra's game out of defence?
Yeah,
he's run hard as well. He's just, a couple of times he's seen the ball, ignored the traffic and just said, I'm taking it on.
Roughhead to Sewell, centering kick, discipline, Grundy stood his ground.
Good strong mark.
Parker. Showmakers has to jump. Reed was right there. Young keeps it in, then fumbled it. Burgoyne wrapped up, dropped it. Play on.
Young, that was a strange one from Young.
Parker, McGlynn, Bird. The 1-2, McGlynn wants a pass target. Hanbury crashes the pack. Jack over the top. McVeigh should nail it. Swans by goal.
You talk about fumbles. Clinton Young didn't know what he was doing. There's the courage that's cost Josh Gibson a whack. Clinton Young had the ball and then just threw it on the ground. And that left Burgoyne under pressure. The turnover, you can just see a great contest here. He gets crunched and lands flat on his back, Gibson. But Jack roved it beautifully. Hand pass over the top. And a good goal to McVeigh. Just been a good contest.
Yeah, you called it. Young was basically no one around him, and I don't know what happened. He sort of fluffed it and then dropped it, and then the Swans go down and kick the goal. Great crumb by Kieran Jack. Great attack by Gibson, though. Just a terrific effort.
6 points to margin. A ton of time left in this, though. The Sydney chant rings around the SCG again from the thump down. Burgoyne gathers. Lewis, 70 from goal. No one's in the square. Grundy gets back.
So this is where I just think the roughhead ruck hurts him a bit, you know. And I know he's been a terrific player and they haven't got any other alternatives, but it just leaves just Franklin the only one. Franklin thinks off the ground now and he got Hale forward. So you've really only got the one tall target at the moment. I mean, Gunston's a tallish type player. There's Franklin on the bench, but he doesn't play as a big. So all of a sudden you've got Roughhead in the ruck and you've got no real tall targets forward.
They've got to be saving him for one last burst, Lance Franklin, surely. Hanbury. But when do you start that burst? Sean Makers to Hodge. Terrible kick.
Well, he didn't like an option, so he tried to kick a torpedo, and in the end it's a mongrel punt that travels 40 metres straight to the opposition, just losing a little bit of composure, the Hawks.
Parker got it from Mumford. 14 minutes gone, final term. Sean Makers just buffeted under it. Jack wants to keep it in, unsuccessful.
Well, Buddy's back on now. He's had 7 short breaks today, but this man's only played 1.5 games of football in 9 games or 10 weeks, whichever way you want to look at it. So you'd have to doubt whether he can run this game out strong, but he's out there again at full forward.
Pivotal battle of 2012. Top spot there. On offer. Jack to Goods. Crunch. Every contest has been a tough one to win. Lewis, that's from the outset, by the way. It's been at a hot pace the whole afternoon. Grundy the push-off. Smith, terrible kick, but that's what pressure does. Lewis, Mitchell. Bounces it in the Franklin direction. He was half held. Hawthorn fans thought he deserved the free. So does Lance.
And it's going to be tough for Buddy as well, because at the moment it's Grundy just dropping back. So Grundy reads the ball really, really well, and he's also good overhead. So you got Grundy off the back. Here he is here, as you watch Franklin going towards the other end of the ground.
I reckon you'd like to see the Hawks man up
Yeah,
forward.
I think so.
Ellis the sub now on. Franklin up, 3 to beat.
That's a
They
mark.
crunch him. He's claimed it. He's got it.
Yeah, he got the first touch.
Plays on unselfishly, opens it up for Suckling. Didn't have the reach. Has he got the poise now? Distance won't be a worry. Lays back on it, heads toward goal and gets it. Scores level again.
See, that's a funny little kick he kicked.
That's a bloke that knows what he's doing with the footy. He just controlled it. He didn't overkick it. He got his angles right. He loves to kick around the corner. It was a great mark. He was in range, and it's a great option to share it.
Yeah.
But he just missed the target.
Yeah.
And then the ball didn't sit up, and he just weighs it up. He is a finesse kicker.
Yeah, he is. That's a beautiful finish. Yeah, great finish. He certainly knows his capabilities. So now we've got Roughhead coming back onto the ground. Suckling there goes on the headphones, but now we've got Roughhead coming back on, so he may push forward or Hale might go forward, which give you means Grundy's got to play on one of the talls.
Hale to Lewis. Constant attack that Roughhead crumbs it. Back toward goal. This will give them the lead if it scores. And it scores. 1 point game. Everybody takes a breath. Sure.
Gee, that needed to be a really well-weighted kick.
Mitchell, he might want to take this on. Try to. It's a deafening roar at the SCG right now. Big Hawthorn contingent in the crowd. Right from the get-go, it's been at a finals pace.
A lot of it's going to come down to decision-making under pressure now. Who makes the least mistakes? Who handles the ball cleanly? Just hits targets. Keep it simple. Play the percentages. You've got Mumford. Well, in fact, it's Grundy behind the footy at the moment.
Hanbury couldn't get the handball up decisively. And again, there's a tie-up. The umpires give them enormous amounts of time these days.
Come on. This is silly.
It becomes a wrestling match.
And this is where you'd like to see, I think, if you don't want to leave that man there, and then it's encouraging the rebound as well. So unless you're dominating the clearances, and they're not, the clearances are all square. That extra, well, there's one extra at each end at the moment.
Well, it's funny the roughhead's coming up to that stoppage, but he's not the ruckman, so I don't know what he's not a great stoppage player as a midfielder, so it is interesting they've allowed him to go up to the stoppage, and well, he's gone up to the stoppage with Grundy dropping back. So
I thought Hawthorn really got back into the contest in the second quarter when it was one-on-one everywhere. Even so much so that they had 7 forwards and just 5 defenders at the other end.
Both these teams have won 10 of their last 11 games. They're the two form teams of the competition. Grundy's kick touched. It'll be a ball in, and it comes down to this. 18 minutes gone, final term. 7:57 left to decide top spot heading into the final round of the home and away season. O'Keefe gets a rest. Young, kick half smothered. Hanbury hard at it. Bird outside of the boot. Goods, 2 to beat. McGlynn. Is it a high tackle? Umpire said keep going. He ducked. Comes up to Kennedy. Just gets it on the boot in time. And the Swans steal the lead back.
well, that's Kennedy's 35th disposal and a goal, so he's had another outstanding game.
He's only kicked at 44%. He's had 21 contested possessions and 9 clearances. He does his work inside. They've got plenty of numbers around the fall of the ball, Sydney. Gee, that's a good quick snap.
Well, just a follow-up there. We said Kennedy following up, and he's now become you said mentioned contested possessions, but he also spreads as well now, Jace. I mean, he's great inside, and he's able to get outside. Really good handball from Benny McGlynn, and puts the Swans back in front. Great game.
Mitchell steals the takeaway, though. Short, poor kick. Oh, it's okay.
Oh, brilliant. It's a brilliant kick.
That's a mess.
It looked like he didn't quite catch it properly off the boot.
I'll tell you, that was either a poor kick or a really, really, really good kick, Dwayne. But gee, it was a great ball, and look, clearly he meant it.
Yeah,
that was just over the top of what a cracking game.
Don't know that he's been in control of where the ball's going, Lance Franklin, with his kick tonight.
He's got 3. He drives it long. That was never in doubt. Hawthorn by a point.
Centre clearance is critical, Jace. Really critical. And it's been a real strength of Hawks, as we see John Longmire there. He'd obviously be disappointed that last clearance, but look at this here. We've got Mitchell there. Good hit by Hale. Really good clean hands. And a nice ball. Fantastic. And off the outside, serious right foot. That is an extraordinary good kick. And, gee, Buddy really nailed that one as well. So Hawks back in front by a point.
Dwayne, this has been the toughest game of the year, the best game of the year that I've seen. 1 point margin going down to the wire. The Stars have come out to play. Buddy's putting on a show in this last term with no gas in the tank. This has been the game of the year.
Has lived up to all expectations, and it's going to go to the wire.
And look, it's full. The 31,167, the crowd. I mean, it couldn't get any more people in, Jace Dwayne. This is a great atmosphere, great game.
And you wouldn't be disappointed, would you?
No, not at all. Fantastic.
Finals preview between the 2 measuring sticks of the competition, and they're turning it on. Have they got another level? Not 15. Jack shrugs his way clear. Hanbury, Malcheski short, good ball. McGlynn plays on. Goods. Unkind bounce, flicks it on. Young, Morton right with him, had a piece of him, keeps it alive. Burgoyne kills it.
She's courageous effort from Gibson there too to salute Adam Goods.
They just want to check that wasn't out in the full there. And now Jumbo said, okay, throw it in.
And look at the crowd there. A lot of red and white, edge of the seat stuff. 1 point the difference, Hawks in front.
And it could be a season-defining last 6 minutes for one of these clubs, or maybe for both.
Gee, just attacked that with his head, Guerra. I don't know what the person that he runs into. There's nothing he can do.
I think it was the slipper, Jace. I think Pikey might have sunk the slip just to kick off the ground. I think that's what the free kick was for.
It's a 1 point game. We could get a draw yet. Shaw pumps it back to the 50. Guerra has to go and kills it himself. Could have marked it. Took the percentage option.
Just at ground level, Roosie, you can just see Mitch Morton getting a little bit of space here on occasion. I just feel like he's going to be the one. He's the one who looks likely to be able to carve something around the corner and put on the scoreboard.
You can see Alistair Clarkson in the box. He's pacing. He's nervous.
Everyone's pacing. Everyone's nervous.
Hanbury's kick smothered.
Yeah, it's just going to be one of those things, King. It might be a Morton that bobs up and kicks a goal because he can find some space, but it'll be the team that's just got a little bit more composure in the back end of the game. Roughhead coming off.
Well, I thought he was going to push forward and keep Grundy honest, but changed for a small. Bruce comes on.
Kennedy in the middle of it again. Again, the umpire gives them an eternity. Ellis, the sub on, couldn't make something of it. Matner does to Hanbury. Good mark, Sean Marcus.
He's had a terrific game, Sean Marcus.
What about
terrific
that?
Game. Yeah, great mark.
Let's put some demons to bed tonight. Kick needs to be the equal. Franklin's on the wing. Richards is right with him. Pike. Little fumble from Pike. Brust made it his. Wrapped up. Smith. Splendid tackle, not rewarded. He dropped it and picked it up again. Hodge dragged down. Another splendid tackle, not rewarded. Natives a little restless at the moment here at the SCG. Hawks by a point. Hanbury got it from McGlynn, missed him on the way back.
Pushing the back against Mitchell.
I think that was Ryan O'Keefe's tackle on Hodge.
Yeah, it was great.
That was a critical tackle.
To Goods. Gibson, and his comeback game's been good. And a free kick to Reid, held off the ball.
Holding! No, Sean!
Oh, gee, that could have been 50.
I don't think he had the whistle, no.
Oh, gee, I tell you what. That doesn't happen very often, does it?
Umpires are quite often not that kind.
No, absolutely right. And look, I'm glad he didn't pay a 50.
I think he read the moment well, didn't he?
No, I agree. I agree.
Well, he was the only one, Dwayne, at ground level that didn't hear the whistle.
John Longmire's thinking, why is that not a 50?
He's gone, no!
Opens it up to the top of the square. Goods is up. Can't mark it. Morton. We thought it might be a fairy tale. He couldn't get on the boot. Parker. Malcheski doesn't bend it enough, and it doesn't score.
It doesn't score.
Behind would have been just enough to keep them in with a sniff with 4 minutes to go of keeping the ball in their area and levelling the scores. They're still in their area though, Birchall.
They've got to adopt the attitude that they've got to kick another goal or two to win at Hawthorn.
To the wing. Grundy up early. Free kick. Hale.
Advantage.
Franklin's inside 50. Puopolo looks up. Bruce, will he take it on himself? Short pass, not the required 15. Franklin tries to convince the umpire. Umpire wise to it. Tie up inside 50. It's
Holding the ball. You talk about critical decisions going both ways.
Well, I mean, Buddy didn't read that well, though, did he? That was never going to be 15, that kick. So he did have a chance to give the handball off.
Shaw pumps it along in Morton's direction. He read it well.
Gee, had to turn around, Young, and face the footy.
No one's in the square yet. Still no one there. Now Mumford gets there. Good contest, Gibson. Had to spoil it. And again, the Swans have it in their area. We're down to 3 minutes and 6.
How about that for an effort from Josh Gibson? Going back with
Here
the
it is
fly.
here. He could have given the handball out to Gunston on the left.
Yeah.
Back into play. It's a 1 point game. Sewell. Schoenmakers. Franklin tunnelled a little. Puopolo jumped on, tied up. Smith, Puopolo, both look pleadingly at the umpire. And that one's played.
He does find a way to give away free kicks.
does, doesn't he?
He gives away an enormous amount.
Just
of
clumsy ones, aren't they?
Yeah.
He hands it up immediately. Malcheski pumps it long. Reed up from 4 deep. Couldn't bring it down. Showmakers didn't really get a kick away. Umpire cuts him some slack.
Big chance here for Sydney.
Hanbury.
Oh, that is a great effort by Guerra.
Just couldn't quite keep it in. McGlynn. Hanbury. O'Keefe. Big kick this.
Oh, he snagged it.
Oh, this is a finals preview. We're going to drone in honey come September. Swans in front.
If that's the winner, you don't argue. I mean, that is just such a good kick off one step. And
Listen to the crowd. The crowd's going absolutely berserk. Listen to the crowd, the red and white. Here it is here. Great effort. You called it from Guerra. Great effort. But he just didn't have enough juice to get back up again. He's on the deck. Good hands out from Hanbury. And that is a really good finish, Chase, you mentioned.
Quality. Quality. And now Sydney get numbers behind the ball. And that's smart. So Hawthorn have got to push forward. There's no good keeping a heap of numbers behind the footy. They've got to win the stoppage and then try and find a way through all the numbers.
From the ball up, 2 minutes from time. The Swans right now 2 minutes from top spot. Hawks are not cooked yet. Hodge, their superstar, short. Franklin, no! Over his head to Burgoyne.
Well, if you ever wanted someone to have the kick, this is the bloke. I know there's still plenty of time left, but he just judged it better. I mean, the kick was no doubt intended for Franklin, but this guy has played one of his best games for the season. Coming up for possession number 23, he's operating at 100% by foot, and he's already kicked 2 goals.
And both to this end in the second term. 57% the probability all players on this ground from this spot. Pressure is on him. The clock starts to roll now. Takes his time. Top spot could be Hawthorn's if he nails it. And he nails it.
Now do we see the flip side? Do Hawthorn get numbers?
Well, they have to. They have to. But the critical area is not necessarily behind the ball.
Look at the Hawthorn players.
They're all
calling people back.
Let me tell you, the critical area is the centre bounce because the ground is so short here. And here it is, Luke Hodge, just great composure. Not a great kick, but fantastic effort by Burgoyne to run forward. You have to take a bit of a punt, but it's the centre bounce that's absolutely critical now. Whoever's going to win this centre bounce. Yeah, now you're right. Now it's up to the Swans to man up the Hawks now. You've got Malcheski by himself on the other side of the ground over there. If they can get it out to him, he's free.
Also got Roughhead behind the footy now.
Sewell, a goal could seal it. He looks up and pumps it. It's long, it's strong, it's there! Hawks by 7.
Well, that's just not something we expected.
Well, centre bounce.
He's broken away. We haven't seen many of those sort of stoppages at all. So he's worked hard, Sewell, tonight, but hasn't had a lot of clean possession, a lot of fumbles early. But that's as important a clearance and, more importantly, a kick as he's ever going to have.
And that's 2 in a row, 2 centre clearances that have cost the Swans. First one goes out to Hodge, Hodge to Burgoyne goal. Second one, great finish, but Sewell, fantastic finish.
Seen some good games this year, perhaps, but this one is off the scale. 7 points, 50 seconds. Swans need a clearance big time now. Hawks just need to soak up some seconds. Burgoyne, Mitchell, out wide. There's the seconds soaked up. Rolling ball. Matner doesn't know how long left. Bruce can take it to the line if he wants to, and you bet he wants to.
Well, Swans need to hope for a point and a goal, I would suggest. So keep it in. So 30 seconds to go, you think the game's pretty well over. It's now up to the Hawks just to hang on to the ball.
Oh, what a one-handed mark that is.
They've got to go quick.
Not enough time now, surely.
I don't think so.
For 2 scores and Ellis the sub on. You'll still hear a deafening roar at the SCG. The crowd surely will show their appreciation for what has been, in some respects, a masterclass from the behemoth Hawthorn. They've come from 38 points down to win by 7.
Yeah, Dwayne, you mentioned that. They were 38 points down and not looking like it. It was a really good comeback. Full credit to the Hawks. The Swans certainly got off to a flyer, and 38 points up. Hawthorn came back. They stiffened themselves up. Burgoyne, you mentioned, Jace, was one of the best. He had 26 and 3 goals. He had a super game. But some of the other guys, Sewell really started to get involved. I thought Lewis was a four-quarter player. And Showmakers, who's been under some heat, he was absolutely outstanding down back.
And from a Sydney perspective, Josh Kennedy does what he does every week.
Yeah.
He just dominates inside. He picked up 35 possessions, kicked a goal, 9 clearances. Ryan O'Keefe, it looked like he'd kicked the winner. He did such a superb job. He had 30 possessions, kicked 2 goals. It's been an outstanding match to watch. 2 teams that I'm pretty sure we're going to see plenty of come September. We might head down onto the ground. I think David King's tracked down a bloke that had a pretty important role tonight, Kingy.
Oh, he had a massive day and he's excited too. Sean, what a game.
Oh, unbelievable, you know. We knew Sydney were going to be a tough team. They've been great all year, so we knew it was going to be a 4-quarter game, and we made it hard for ourselves in the first quarter, and you know, we had that confidence going into the halftime break that we could pick them back.
What were you thinking, lining up for goal there? You need to kick the goal to win the game. What was going through your mind?
We've done a fair bit of work on goal kicking this year, and we're just all about your routine. I've had one now for a number of years, and you go through it, and everything, you just blank out, and that's practice makes perfect, I guess, because you practice it so much. When you get out here, you can just focus on that.
38 points down at early stages in this game. What was going through your mind, and what does that mean to this team now in terms of belief?
You know, we done it a couple of weeks ago against Geelong where we were down. We got right back in front, and then we obviously lost, and we took great confidence out of that, knowing that when we play our way, we can come back. And you know, it took the 4 quarters, you know, as you've seen the last minute there. But we just know if we can play the game on our terms, and you know, we're good enough to beat anyone.
You love the big games, don't you?
Yeah, not too bad, especially against good teams.
Well done, go and enjoy.
Thanks for having me.
Hawthorn top of the AFL ladder as it stands right now. They have the West Coast next week. The Swans have Geelong next week. Top of the ladder, the Hawks, from 38 down, the 7-point winners. It's been one of the games of the year.
This has been a Fox Footy production.